Welcome back. As you can no doubt tell from the site now, we are talking Yu-Gi-Oh this time, and
Hell yeah.
in addition
Damn,
to the
fuck.
clan, we have our friend Phantom Knight Jose.
Heyo.
Yes, and we're kind of going to be going over everything, despite the fact that what you see kind of right here. So I guess like the first thing we should probably talk about. What was the thing that got you guys into Yu-Gi-Oh? Whoever wants to go first. Like,
Oh shit.
So the thing that got me into Yu-Gi-Oh, because I was not old enough to comprehend the first series or GX. What got me hooked was basically watching Yusei destroy what was that police officer? Officer.
Oh shit. The
That's,
police officer that.
that's Officer
Yeah.
Trudge. And
Yeah.
fun fact
so,
about
what,
that.
so what's
um,
so what sold me was basically like its first two episodes, Yusei just destroying Trudge with Junk Warrior. As soon as I saw that, I was like, I want to do that.
yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat, but I would definitely say I'm more of an older school fan because my first experience with it is because when you're younger, parents just kind of like throw things at you to see what you'll really like when they buy you something
Yeah.
like for
Yeah,
Christmas.
sometimes that happens.
Yeah, so for me, my parents, they would buy me like all different games. I got like I Spy, Dragon Ball, Power Rangers, and for one of them, I got Yu-Gi-Oh! GX Duel Academy. And
Dude.
I had absolutely no idea how to play. This was back when they didn't really put a card limit on stuff. You could have 99 cards total in your whole deck. So you could have a fusion deck of like 15, 20 cards and like a main deck of like 70 if you really wanted to.
100 plus, if anything.
Yeah, I think the game hard capped at 100, but like that image of the dude carrying the freaking
Yeah.
like 2,000 plus deck. Like here's my 2,000 plus cards of Yu-Gi-Oh. But Jose, what was your experience kind of like being thrown into Yu-Gi-Oh?
Oh shit. My first experience, I think maybe was the first time I saw Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal.
Really?
Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal. It was beyond my favorite in the series, and it's kind of got me starting to like Yu-Gi-Oh! And as well as the summoning method as well, Xyz.
All right, so I guess like
As you two can tell, you two know me really well, and you know
Xyz
that
is so
Xyz summoning. Yes, Xyz summoning was my favorite summoning method, or is still my favorite summoning method to this day.
I have to ask, is Yuto your favorite character from Arc 5?
Yes, he fucking is.
Okay, so
I had a
for those
feeling,
of
I had
you
a
who
feeling.
don't understand, Jose is known as Phantom Knight.
Yeah,
Surprise, surprise.
yeah,
The only fucking person who uses Phantom Knight is Yuto.
It's Yuto.
yeah, partially that's the reason. And I guess like
Also, if you noticed my character, which is Kronk with Playmaker here, the reason for that is because out of everyone in my friend group at this current point in time, I am the best Link summoner, and everyone hates me for it.
except
It's okay.
I don't
Well,
hate
except
you-
for Kashmir, because I hate him for a multitude of reasons that we'll get into later. But everyone else hates me because I just take too long on my turns.
Yeah, I guess like we could go into like the different summoning mechanics, because Yu-Gi-Oh has essentially really only had not one format, but they haven't really made like different sets where you can play different types of broken cards. So like
No,
let's
they haven't made anything like that back then.
Like they still don't now, but like let's go over like you have your normal summoning where like you only get that once per turn. You can special summon as many times as you want, unless the
As
card
long as you're
says-
able to.
Yeah, as long as you're able to. So as long as like the card does it say, oh yeah, you can no longer special summon after this or X.
Most cards have that ability. Like you can special summon said card, then it says you can't special summon any other card except for that type of card.
Yeah, we have fusion summoning. You combine different monsters together. They have a purple background. We have synchro summoning. Combine different monsters together, get a white background. You have exceed.
Ah!
Combine. Yes, his PTSD is kicking in.
What, his synchro summoning PTSD?
Yeah. So I have PTSD for synchro summoning for 2 reasons. And I'll just say one of the reasons. We'll get to the second one later. The first reason is because Link summoning is like the only freaking summoning mechanic in any like Yu-Gi-Oh virtual game, like Yu-Gi-Oh Master Duels. I make a deck like primarily to synchro summon, and for some reason I can never synchro summon. Never.
Except when unless we let you, you don't really get into that often.
But even then, it takes me like 5 to 10 turns to bring out a tuner, a monster, and then a synchro.
Was synchro summoning like extremely difficult back then?
Actually, it was not. Back then, it was really easy because a lot of the synchro cards, or a lot of the cards that came out in Arc or in 5Ds, a lot of them were actually primarily used to special summon, then bring out an extra monster to synchro summon a lot easier. Because a lot of the monsters had a bonus abilities where it's like, oh, like Junk Synchron. It's like, oh, I summon this card allows me to get a level 2 or lower monster from my graveyard and summon it. You get a level 2 from your graveyard, boom, Junk Synchron.
And then
Not Junk Synchron, Junk Warrior.
Yeah.
Junk Warrior, yeah.
You can also say this, like very few of the synchro cards that were released back in the day were like quote unquote exclusive, like you needed a specific tuner. It wasn't until we got like way later, and I guess like to the point of like, all right, we're going to XCs, we're going into Arc 5, where we're like, all right, now they're like looking for cards that are like specifically like, ew, like we need a specific version of a tuner. Like, oh, you like at most you probably get, again, like you say, it's warriors primarily. You need for Junk Warrior, you need Junk Synchron, Nitro Warrior, Nitro Synchron, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until later into the evolution of Yu-Gi-Oh where it was like, okay, people are using these cards too much and they're using decks to primarily take advantage of them. So we're going to change it to where they can only use this card to bring out this card.
Yeah. But to be fair, it like limits you to specific archetypes most of the time. Unless you had the Crystron, Holocaust 5 Racks, whatever that card was, the Link card. But
the Link Shogun!
But yeah, like the summoning mechanics, you just need 2 or more monsters to primarily bring out the same type more often than not. Like I feel like Pendulum is like the one that was like the most quote unquote difficult, because you needed 2 specific cards, each with their own set of scales, and you can only pendulum summon between those 2 card scales. And I feel
that,
like
and also for those who didn't understand, it gave them the mindset that was like, oh yeah, as long as the monster I want to bring out, or no, it's like as long as I have the pendulum scale, I can just bring out any fucking monster I want. Which, by the way, does not work that way. And when I said bring out any monster you want, I mean like this person would use pendulum summon. No one knew how to use it. So he set up the pendulum scale with Stargazer and Timegazer, the most prominent, most popular pendulum monsters at the time. And he would bring out Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon, Odd Eyes Meteor Dragon, which is a fusion and synchro. You can't do that. You have to first bring them out with their respected methods. You have to fusion summon to get Odd Eyes Vortex and synchro summon to get Odd Eyes Meteor.
Yeah. Like most of the time,
and that's pretty much the same boat with Odd Eyes Raging Dragon as well. You had to XC summon it in order to pendulum summon it.
Yeah, most of the time, that's what people found like most difficult about it. But then again, like you could also put that on Arc 5's pretty terrible writing. If we're considering,
you cheated.
So I think we should probably we kind of gone over Link summoning, pretty easy mechanic. You can use
Link Shogun.
You can use one.
All I'm gonna say.
5
Sorry.
All
All I'm gonna say is, about pendulum summoning, when I first got my very first pendulum deck, I was literally confused as hell. Like, I didn't know what pendulum summoning was until now, that is.
Yeah.
But
Whatever.
when I got my pendulum deck, I didn't know what was wrong with me, but I was. So I say that because for some weird reason, my pendulum deck was Perform Palace, which are stupid-looking circus animals. And
I mean, yeah, that's the whole thing with Performer Pals.
Yeah, but for some reason, I just loved Performer Palace. Like, my entire deck was nothing but Performer Palace with, like, the occasional magician or two and odd eyes. But I would only use Performer Palace. And for some reason, with these Performer Palace, I just lived like a freaking roach every time I dueled. As in, you would try to kill me, but some way, somehow, I survive. You don't know how, but I do.
Oh. So yeah, in terms of like this series, it's, I guess like we can move into that because we are already kind of shit talking Arc 5. Let's go with the first, like kind of like let's go in order of the ones that we have here. Sevens hasn't finished at this time, I believe, that we're recording this. I don't know.
No, Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens is finished.
Oh, it is?
Wait, it's finished already?
Yeah, so Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens is finished. Yu-Gi-Oh! 7, but they also have a new series which is called Yu-Gi-Oh! Go Sevens, which is a sequel to Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens.
All right,
so Yuga at that time, who was the first Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens protagonist. He's no longer the protagonist. Instead, it's like two different characters, a brother and sister, and I think they're the protags of the series.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so
yeah, as far as I know, the series is still going, but they decided to turn one of the characters from Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens into a villain.
Wouldn't it be the first time, I believe. I believe we got that with Zexal near the end. But alright, so I guess let's start at the very beginning with the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters.
Duel Monsters.
What is your kind of like initial, I guess like what do you remember, what did you like, what you dislike, what do you like what are your thoughts on the original, I guess, first series?
So all I have to
Hell
say,
City was the best fucking arc.
Okay. All I have to say is, Monster God!
Yeah, I guess we should go with this first, saying this. The first season of Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters, that was,
Hold on, when you say first, no, hold on. When you said you're not talking about the first season. You need to talk about season 0.
We're not talking about season 0.
Season 0 is still Yu-Gi-Oh!
It's barely what I would consider Yu-Gi-Oh! Other than
It
the
is
fact that
still Yu-Gi-Oh!
I've seen episodes of season 0 of Yu-Gi-Oh!
Like,
And there's really not much of Yu-Gi-Oh! going on there, bro.
okay, so
It is still Yu-Gi-Oh!
Alright, so originally, Kazuka Takahashi, what he originally had planned for Yu-Gi-Oh!, which was the Pharaoh attempts, like, that's all he could remember. He's like, just call me that. And that was going to be the title of the series. And each chapter was going to be, like, a different game, because Kazuka Takahashi was really into different board games. So Yugi would still solve the puzzle and bring a temp, but Atem was far more malicious and dark in season 0.
In other words, he freaking murked people.
He murked people. He destroyed them psychologically.
Mind break.
Yeah, like for example, like when Taya has a after-school job, which was, I believe, not allowed at their school at the time. You couldn't have jobs that interfered with schoolwork. She was working at a diner. Yugi and Joey come and see her. They were joking about blackmailing her, but this guy comes in carrying a piece and held everyone hostage. Yugi transforms into a Tem and they play a game. And
is it the one where Atem explained the rules where you're only allowed to move one part of your hand or one finger of your hand?
I believe he does so because the guy was pouring himself a drink, like near the end. We're kind of like skipping over a lot because he's holding Taya hostage along with everyone else.
Yeah.
And then he's like pouring a drink. Yugi just, or Tam, has a lighter, drops it, and sets the dude on fire. So, like, I believe he also mind crushes another dude who was gonna blackmail Taya. I believe when it was brought over here, it was like changed a lot. Like he's like, all right, fork over the money, whereas in the original, it was far more devious and is worth almost life in prison.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna leave it at that. That season 0 in a nutshell was like different games each time, but when we got to like the Kaiba portion, it was when they played
That's when
Duel
Duel
Monsters.
happened.
When Duel
Duel
Monsters,
Monsters.
that was like the big thing. So, Kazuki Takahashi was like, "Oh, this is like a very big thing." So he, in a sense, did a soft reboot, and that's why we have Duel Monsters as it is now. Which is why the first season of the series, and really until like season 2 with some of the filler, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's D&D logic, so if like you can explain your way well enough, you can get away with a lot of BS, i.e., I'm switching my giant soldier of stone to attack. Oh, you can attack my monsters, they're underwater. I'm not attacking your monsters, I'm attacking the moon!
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so we get stuff like that.
It was just a giant D&D campaign.
It wasn't until we got to like Battle City
Where imagination overpowers all.
Not necessarily, because even in Battle City, imagination was still there.
Yeah,
I'm talking about the. I'm talking about. Sorry, I'm talking about the what you guys talked about earlier, the D&D filler thing.
The Duelist Kingdom, when they got sent into the virtual world by the Big Five, I believe, they isekai the characters into a game that Kaiba was creating, which was filler. But
Yeah.
they did, even when we got to Battle City, like, which everyone's like, oh yeah, no, this is like the best portion. Like, yeah, we sure get a lot of iconic moments, but a lot of it was still BS. Like, i.e., Jinzo isn't affected by magic cards, I believe was one of the things.
No, it was traps.
No, also in the show, because remember, in the show they also got extra effects. If you can kind of like explain it away, which I believe is like, oh yeah, Jinzo isn't affected.
I summon Summoning Skull, and thanks to Summoning Skull's power to lightning, my Magnet Warrior gains 1,300 attack points.
Yeah, something like that. Every spell card was treated as a quick play, I believe, as long as you set it down on the video. You had to set it down on the video. But it was treated as a quick play. And I guess this is like one of the most BS moments. When a Tem is trapped in a quote unquote shadow game with Arcana, I believe the dude's name? Arcana? The guy who uses Dark Magician.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
yes.
The guy who uses the red Dark Magician.
Arcana.
He's like, oh yes, I played Dark Magician's Curtain, or Dark Magic Curtain, whatever the hell it was.
Dark Magic Curtain.
Dark Magic Curtain. And I can summon my Dark Magician and I will win. And Yugi's like, but you see, I too have a Dark Magician. One that hasn't been seen. And Arcana's like, what?
Okay, so to explain it a bit more, it was like, oh, you fool, you thought I only had the one Dark Magician? No, here's another one. And then Yu-Gi-Oh's like, bitch, you think I only have the one Dark Magician? No, here's Dark Magician Girl. And by the way, thanks to her ability, my Dark Magician and your Dark Magician simp after her, giving her 600 more attack points.
I guess we should also go over this. Shadow games. So, in the original
you lose
series,
a shadow game, you lose your fucking life.
Yeah.
Well, yes and no. In the original series, so in the first series, there's like a lot of censorship, and we do mean like a lot. Stuff from like, because Japan is like way more, I guess like the term would be more liberal with it, about showing like certain shots and ideas, they're pretty okay with violence. Like there was a lot of guns in Yu-Gi-Oh. And then we have the infamous finger point that we get. So whenever someone's finger pointing, i.e., like Ben.
In other words, it led to one of the moments I loved the most in Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged, which was by Little Karibo, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where they had Kaiba on a motorcycle, and he would or not. So it was like 2-bit thing. So Kaiba was in his room, and two like guys in black suits come barging in, and Kaiba was like, "Oh, what are you guys gonna do? Shoot me with your finger guns?" And both of the guys just pointing at him with finger guns, and they're like, "Don't move, we will fire." And they just said pew pew while they would shoot their finger guns.
Finger.
And it led to another moment where Kaiba was on a bridge on a motorcycle. He crashes and a giant explosion happens. And he just walks out of the explosion. And the first thing he says is, "Good thing I'm Seto Kaiba, or else that might have actually hurt."
Yeah. So, like, it's not just that, but, like, violence typically. Whenever they say a shadow game, they typically mean, like, oh, yeah, if you lose this duel, you lose your soul, or you die, i.e., like, Arcana or Arcana. Instead of, like, the laser disc that where if they touch you, they'll send you to the shadow realm. No, they're just giant saw blades that were going to cut their legs in half. I will also say this. They also had a lot more, like, innuendos and shots, i.e., Taya, they explained this in, like, when Tristan, Joey, and Bakura are trying to, like, sneak into Pegasus Castle. Taya doesn't want to go first because I believe in the sub, she's like, "I don't want you guys looking up my skirt."
Yeah, that's one of the anime tropes.
Yes, and
I think,
again, like, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is pretty okay with that, which is why I believe not until they still don't have it now. Like, they censor out, like, a lot of violence and a few other things. Like, there's pretty messed up stuff that happens. Like, especially in, like, Vrains and Arc 5, if you think about it. In Vrains and Arc 5, they really get dark with a lot of stuff.
We're talking about the sub, right?
Okay, yeah, because
even in both, it's pretty dark.
So Arc 5 is actually surprisingly dark for both sub and dub. It's just that for dub, it's like mild. Like, it's still dark, but not as dark. But if you were to watch sub, it's like, holy shit.
Alright, so...
Where people who are turned to cards are literally announced dead, which is not how it works, by the way.
It's kind of death, in a sense. It's temporary death.
Yeah, but, like, it doesn't change the fact there's, like, they're gone, they're all gone, I can never see them again, because apparently they just assume that, like, oh yeah, they turn in the cards and they just fucking rip the cards. Like, no.
I would assume at that point, yeah, they're dead.
I would assume at that too, actually.
Yeah, but it's only when you find out that, like, they kept them hostage to harness their dual energy, I believe.
I guess, like, we can go overall, we can, like, finish up our thoughts on Yu-Gi-Oh! It's fine, but I will say this, a lot of BS happens in that first series, so if you're a newcomer to the series, don't expect the rules to make a lot of sense, even later on when they're closer to following the actual thought process of the series.
You wanted a plot, you came to the wrong place.
Alright, I guess, like, we could talk briefly about the waifus, even though, really, there's only, what, like, 3?
My Valentine.
We have Taya,
Gardner.
Mai, and Ishizu, I guess, is our 4.
Yeah, because we don't really want to talk about Joe's sister.
We're not talking about Rebecca Hawking. She's the same age as Yugi.
Yeah.
Or Serenity, I think.
Serenity is
Serenity is barely a character.
Yep.
She's barely a character, but she does like Tristan, apparently, and Tristan likes her.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Taya, there's a reason why the joke about friendship in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is annoying and it's tied to her.
Yes. Don't worry, the power of friendship will let Yugi win. It's like, no. I mean, yes, it works for plot armor, but no.
No. My
Do you think
Valentine.
that was the Power of Friendship show started?
I think it's mainly because of Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged and Little Karibo making jokes about it, where Teia's like whole shtick is power of friendship.
Yeah, and her
Yeah.
constant friendship speeches.
Yeah. Annoying, but definitely entertaining. My
Yes.
Valentine wins like what, 2 major duels and that's it. Not even major,
Yeah.
but no, she wins 1 major duel, and that's against.
With she used Dark Magician Girl, and she only won the 1 major duel because the guy was using penguins.
That was Taya, but Mai only wins 1 major duel, and it's in filler.
Yeah.
And that's against Joey.
Damn.
Yeah, she beats Joey, but that's because Joey loses on purpose, essentially.
I mean, you could say that, but like Joey does, he lose on purpose, but like dude was on his last fuck. Like out of everyone in the first series of Yu-Gi-Oh, no one should be alive, or Joey should not be alive. Motherfucker gets struck by a bolt of lightning and still stands, then proceeds to get fucking burned in a shadow duel by Ra the Sun God, and fucking stands.
For a couple of seconds, and he was going to win, but
He was going to win, but he just couldn't, because before he got burned by the mighty sun god, he also lost like what, 2,000-3,000 life points because his monsters were destroyed.
every single, I believe in that shadow game, like every single point of damage that he got.
No.
So
In the shadow game was that every attack point that monster would lose, he would feel as pain, and every time the monster would die, he would also feel that as pain, along with the drainage of life points.
yes, so
Like his soul was literally tied to the monsters.
yeah.
But he was mollywopping fucking Merrick so bad that Merrick was like, holy shit, if we don't stop this, I'm gonna fucking die. And so he cancels the shadow game.
Yeah, he's like, you know. But going on next, we have a Shizu, another character who's barely in, but is a top-rate tier waifu in my opinion.
You cannot beat me, Kaiba. You cannot beat me, Kaiba. I can see the future. It's like, oh, you can see the future? It's like, yes, of course. It's like, oh, so you just admitted to seeing the future. That means you cheated. Now I won.
Why are you still in this?
That was a long, fast, explained detail, dude.
That was pretty much like, oh, you can see the future. Yes, I can see the future. So you admit you're cheating, so therefore I win.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, like in the, she like quote unquote like joke, yeah, she can see the future. What we remember most is Bailey from Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridge, i.e. one of her catchphrases is "because shut up," which is pretty accurate response. Like, how do you know all this? How can you possibly know all this? Because shut up. That's it. So, with that, yeah, I feel like we've pretty accurately gone over Season 1, or the Series 1 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Overall, I rate it as good. The BS, from the beginning, and even towards the end when we really weren't having rules, that's really what's holding it back from me. Where we really don't, again, follow the rules, even back then.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, Series 2, Yu-Gi-Oh! GX Duel Academy.
I fucking
Get your
love
game
that
on.
series, man.
Game on, get your game on. So, I guess this is like, I love GX so much, it's like, it inspired me mainly because of Duel Academy, the game. I was like, oh yes, I need to build the Elemental Heroes, which at the time only had like 5 monsters and 3 fusions.
Yep.
Despite being
Yeah.
Now there's like over 50 other Elemental Hero monsters, and you still cannot make a decent deck with it.
Jesse, I would disagree. You know that feeling all too well.
No, because you use evil heroes. You
Pure
use evil
Elemental
heroes for
Heroes.
the Yes, but you also use the combination of masked heroes as well.
I use masked heroes, extra heroes,
But like I said, I said a pure Elemental Hero deck. I'm saying without the use of Neospatians, without the use of Dark Fusions to get evil heroes, without the use of Destiny heroes, Vision heroes, or Masked heroes.
Yeah, it's very hard to get a decent
Elemental Hero deck.
Yeah, pure Elemental Hero. Like, most of the time, whenever people play Hero decks, it's like, alright, here, we're gonna make a combination of, like, all the different types. Like, oh, we're specifically focusing on Fusion. Oh, we're focusing on Mask. Or, like, here, we're gonna make a mix-match of all of them. So...
Hey, I don't really care about winning. I'm just here to have some fun. So, let me just go ahead and bring out Shining Neospatian Neos, and then let's just have some fun. I know for the people who hear that, I know I said it wrong. It's fucking Elemental Hero Shining Neos.
Shining Neos?
Shining Flare Wingman.
No, because I said Neospatian Neos. It's Neos Glow. It's like Glow Neos.
Glow Neos.
Yeah, because he had to fuse with Neospatian Glowmos.
Yeah.
I guess like
Contact Fusion.
I guess we can go through let's go through the series. Like this one primarily focuses on fusion, and we have I believe our only protagonist. Actually, no, I don't know Playmaker's character's name, but Jaden or Judai, I believe is the only protagonist with a J.
Yes.
Or even
I will tell you this. I will say this: Playmaker's name does start with a U.
Okay.
Yeah, it did.
Okay.
It's a Yusaku Fujiki.
Okay, then yeah, Jaden to this day is I believe our only protagonist that doesn't have the typical U.
The U in the name.
We
typical
have
U in the first name.
Yuma, Yuya, Yusaka. It's okay.
Yugo, Yuri, Yuto.
Yeah, but as a character, I like Jaden a lot. And
Jaden was just so fun to watch. Every time he dueled, it was just so entertaining. Every fucking time.
I believe,
yes.
And even when we got towards the end, where they really, they count as, near season 2, when he first lost to Aster, it's oh my god, this guy's life is just getting worse and worse and worse.
Yeah. And for those of you who don't know, Yu-Gi-Oh! GX has 4 seasons. Only seasons 1, 2, and 3 are dubbed, while the secret 4th season, you could only find it on Crunchyroll, a part of the 1st season. Because for GX, for Crunchyroll sub. Well, yeah, but for Crunchyroll, GX sub is all one giant season.
Yeah.
But the secret 4th season was actually really, really dark. And if I remember correctly, it was actually so dark that they couldn't censor it to air it. And that was actually why they stopped it. And then they also started the production of Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds.
Yeah, it's primarily the 5Ds production because 5Ds was just coming out. So, at the end of, season 1 is probably, is the most lighthearted. Because, for 80% of it, it's lighthearted. With the final 20%, oh yeah, destruction of the world. With the sacred... Yeah. The Sacred Beast, I believe, is what they're called. The 3 Sacred Beasts.
Oh my!
Yeah,
for those who don't know, the 3 Sacred Beasts were essentially the Egyptian god cards, but found at a garden sale.
They're great value god cards.
Yeah.
In the eyes of some people, they're a better archetype than the god card archetype in game. Yeah. Because they have far more synergy than the gods ever do, because the gods each have their own separate character entity of what they're working with.
Slifer the Sky Dragon. Alright, for every card in my hand, my monster has 1,000 attack points. What? Yep, now I activate the bullshit card of Sanctity, because it exists now. And it exists, but not the good version. Not the good version. So now I have 6 cards in my hand. So now Slifer the Sky Dragon has 6 fucking K.
Or it's each one's tied to a specific archetype, or they have something to help them. Slifer has the face monsters, the the card ones, like, oh, Jack's Knight, Queen's Knight, and King's Knight. I forget what they're... I forget what, like, their archetypes called, but, like, Yugi's Knights. I believe Raw has, like, the most support with specifically, like, Raw's Disciples. Getting, like, how spell cards get out real quickly. What else? We also have... I don't know what obelisks are tied to them. I think it's mainly just fiends.
Our obelisk was just fiends because fiends were just so easy to get to the field and get rid of if you needed to.
Yeah, so...
Yeah.
But
basically, any fiend deck to ever exist can incorporate obelisk depending on how you play it.
Yeah, but... Yeah, the Sacred Beasts
It's usually special summon and sacrifice, right?
Yeah.
The fiend decks.
Yeah. But the Sacred Beast is just a far more cohesive deck. Like, watch Rhyme Style use it on YouTube. Like, he'll put the Fiend decks to really good use. And they'll just, like, pretty convincingly take out most opponents because you effectively shut your opponent off. They can't play.
Yeah. So another thing is that the Sacred Beasts were actually so much easier to bring out. So the Sky Dragon counterfeit, and I'm calling them counterfeits because I don't remember their names. Fuck off. I'm not gonna say it.
Lord of Sealing Flames.
Can you guys
here? Raviel, Lord of Phantasms, Haman, Lord of Striking Thunder, and Uriah, Lord of Uriah, not Uriel.
Fine, if you guys are gonna be like that, fine. Uriah, the fucking Sky Dragon knockoff, alright? Anyways, for Uriah, his gimmick was, if I remember correctly, literally 3 continuous spells and sent to the graveyard. No, actually, I think that was Thunder.
I thought it was traps.
Yeah, it was 3 trap cards for Uriah, sent to the graveyard, summon him from the hand. Uriah was 3 continuous spells on the field, send it to the graveyard, summon him from your hand. And then the Phantasma was literally 3 monsters, sacrifice, bring to your summon to the field.
Yeah, like out of all of them, Raviel was like the easiest at the time to bring out. It's like, oh, you just need 3 monsters, that's it. Versus like, oh, you need 3 spell cards. Oh, you need 3 traps. Funny enough, Haman worked with freaking Crystal Beasts.
Yep.
Because they're considered spell cards when they get destroyed, so...
True.
Continuous spell cards at that, so...
Yes, they were continuous.
Perfect. It was the perfect synchronization.
I guess moving on to Season 2 with Sartorius, Aster, the Society of White, which sounds really weird now saying it out loud now.
Oh, did you say Society of White or Society of Light?
It said white, even though it's light.
Yeah. The reason why, because I remember, I think it's from the sub. I think it's from the sub when they kick out one of the Obelisk Blue. Hey, you don't belong here. The storm only belongs to the whites.
Yeah. No. Hold on. So, they actually said this in dub because I think they called themselves the White Coats.
Yeah, I think they called themselves the White Coats in the sub. Because good luck actually trying to find the sub of any of the Yu-Gi-Oh series up until 5Ds. And even then, 5Ds is like the only one like really readily available on other platforms.
And that 5Ds was still cancelled.
Yeah.
What?
We'll get there.
5D's dubbed was cancelled because it was supposed to continue to where Leo becomes a signer and Yusei would duel Z1, which is essentially his future self.
Kind of, sort of, not really, but
kind of, sort of, not really. It was just Z1 was like, yeah, we'll get there. We're gonna get there.
We'll get there eventually.
Yeah, but with Season 2, you know, you have Sartorius coming. He's voiced by Dio in the sub.
Yes.
And he has
it was even better.
21 Zoado. You can find it. The funny thing is, Arcana.
Hold on.
Arcana.
I got something to do. Hold on.
Right.
That's okay.
We'll talk a little bit more fun. Fun fact: Arcana in the sub is also voiced by Dio. So, like, you get a lot of funny stuff. Sartorius is an okay villain. Aster was a good secondary antagonist because that guy is a freaking prick for most of the series.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, I'm a pro duelist. He takes on Zane. He defeats him pretty easily, I believe.
He does. He defeats him super easily. And it was just so mind-boggling because Zane was the only one that basically one-turned KO'd fucking Jaden.
Yeah. He also beats Jaden, which is like, not at first, because Jaden, I believe, out of all the protagonists, besides, I would say Jaden's the third one that takes the most amount of losses. After Yuya and Yuma.
Yeah. So just to clarify, Yuma was essentially a novice duelist, so he basically lost a lot of his duels. While Yuya was also a novice duelist, but it was because he was shackling himself by trying to be like his father.
That and Yuma, like I believe before the first episode even finishes, like he's lost like 100 duels against his rival, his friend, not his rival, Bronk.
Yeah, Bronk.
Who's voiced by Goku in the dub.
Oh hell yeah! I thought he sounded familiar.
Sean Schimmel.
I just couldn't put my finger on it.
Only in the dub, not in Duel Links. He has a completely different voice actor in Duel Links. That's why
they all have a different.
That's the same with Yuma as well in Duel Links.
Yeah, actually, yeah. No, never mind it. I believe Tori, Anna, Shark's sister. They have the same voice actresses.
Yeah.
But continuing on with we're kind of like still on Yu-Gi-Oh! GX Season 2. We're talking Aster. He's kind of a prick, and yeah, even though he wins, he loses to Sartorius because we can't have anyone other than protagonist. Jaden goes through his mini character arc, gets to Neos, his level 7 vanilla beater with 25k attack, and the Neos Patience.
Yes.
We then move on to season 3.
How can we make this better? But how can we make this better? I know. Give them a free fucking fusion as long as both of the cards are on the field.
Which at the time is very difficult because...
Yes.
And even now, I would say it's pretty difficult, even though it's easier.
Generation next! Fucking lightsaber!
Next. Lots and lots of next.
As in, I am next in line to fusion summon, so watch.
This is where we have contact fusion being more prominent because of Neos, which means you really just have to have the two monsters on the field, but they're really not good because they peace out after one turn unless you have Neo space on the field.
Unless you have Neo space on the field, or you have spatial Neo spatial.
Yeah, like the equip spell.
Or Neo's Wormhole or something like that, which was an equip spell.
Yeah.
It was either that, or you bring out a different Neos card that just didn't have that ability.
Yeah.
Like Brave Neos.
Yeah. Because Brave Neos and Neos Knight came out later, so by default, they are better cards.
Yeah. Well, except for Neos Knight. Neos Knight was more of just, okay, I'm just going to destroy your monsters, but don't worry, I can't damage you directly with him.
Yeah.
Even though he is a 4300 beat stick.
True.
That can attack twice per turn.
Moving on to Season 3. Season 3 is where it's really dark, because we get the introduction of Jaden's other half, Spirit Girlfriend.
I am the shadow, the true self. I am the part of Jaden that is forgotten. The real Jaden Yuki.
Yeah. So in Yu-Gi-Oh, they kind of do an interesting thing. They have the Light of Destruction and the Gentle Darkness. Basically, if you want a very short explanation, the Light of Destruction, cosmic entity, wants to destroy everything. Gentle Darkness is used to fight it. However, the Gentle Darkness can also technically corrupt someone if they aren't strong-willed enough. And yes. Jaden has that because Yubel comes back, a card he had when he was a kid, and that he sent into space because he won a drawing contest. He sent the card into space.
No. So yes, he won a drawing contest. But it was, to be more specific about it, it was because whenever Jaden tried dueling with Yubel in his deck, Yubel would literally give his opponent a heart attack just so Jaden would win. So he thought by using the power of Neospace, he could cure Yubel. Instead, he only made it worse and made Neospacians a reality.
That's because Yubel didn't find Neospace, she found the Light of Destruction. I guess like we should also just bring this up right away. In the sub, Yubel's voice changes pitches, and the character has both sets of
Well, let's just say Yubel is a he, she, he. All right.
In the sub specifically, in the dub, she is all woman.
Yes.
All woman because they
censorship.
Voice actress. They even cover up the rest of her chest and give her another breast.
It's censorship.
It's censorship, but for those who like it, in a good way.
I mean, degenerates, but yes, go on.
But yeah, Yubel is crazy. She teleports everyone to another dimension. A lot of Jaden's friends in the dub get sent to the stars, i.e., they die. In other words, they quote die, but in actuality, their literal fucking souls instead get absorbed into a single card. That becomes super polymerization, which is like the most overpowered fucking fusion card on the right now. The only reason I say overpowered is because it's literally discard one card, activate super poly, then you can target one monster you control and one monster your opponent controls and fusion summon, and your opponent cannot do anything in response. Yeah, it's really good. Yubel was going to combine all 12 dimensions on top of each other, destroy everything. And then
Jaden got the bright idea to fuse Yubel with himself.
Yes, and by the way, in both versions, Yubel's a sadomasochist.
Yes.
So, yeah. But afterwards, at the end of that, everyone kind of comes back.
Jaden fucking dies.
Yeah, if you only watch the dub, essentially everyone assumes that Jaden is dead, sacrificing himself for the good of the universe.
But then the movie,
and then the movie kind of ruined it
on time
because we got a secret season 4 where Jaden has both PTSD and depression.
Yes.
And then he has to fight darkness. Like this isn't Kingdom Hearts where it's like the manifestational, like heartless and all that. No, he fights a literal character.
Darkness is the heart's true essence.
And by the way, if you pay attention, Darkness also predicts what happens in the future for 5Ds and Zexal.
Yep.
But going on that, Jaden eventually learns that he has to enjoy dueling again. He ends up winning, creating probably one of the best summons visually, like Elemental Hero, called the Nails, which in real life
or
sucks.
Neos Wiseman.
Both of them. But Neos Wiseman didn't get proper quote-unquote fusion until later with Kluger, which then gave you Wiseman, because Wiseman in the real life game is a effect monster and not a fusion.
Yeah.
So
which even then, Neos Wiseman was like almost impossible.
I'll be right back again.
Because
Gotcha.
Because Neos Wiseman was impossible to bring out because you needed to have Yubel and Neos and sacrifice them both to special summon Neos Wiseman.
Yeah, that's not happening consistently.
Yeah, no. Especially since Yubel, even at first form, she requires you to sacrifice a monster every time during your standby phase.
Yeah, I know, that's kind of dumb. But anyways.
Which on the bright side, it's fine. The only reason you have to sacrifice the monster is for her to use her ability.
Yeah. Moving on to the end of the series, Jaden essentially flashbacks himself to Yu-Gi-Oh! Fights Yugi, who essentially cheats in that game, because we're assuming that this is Yugi after defeating Atem, but this is Yugi somehow summons
This is
Atem.
Yugi after defeating Atem. No, not really.
Yeah, I know.
So it wasn't implied that. It was just because you would see Yugi with the Millennium Puzzle.
Like at
But-
the very beginning of the series, his voice is deeper, but we can assume that's
Oh
just
no,
an older
so
Yugi.
the thing is, no, yeah, like it's an older Yugi, which it is. An
Yeah.
older Yugi. But towards the end of season 4, Yugi tells Jaden to hold his deck to, you know, the display Yugi case, and that basically sends him back in time to duel against Yugi, because Kaiba is still fucking alive, and Kaiba is still being a Chad and getting bitches.
He doesn't have time for bitches. The only one that he's time for is his Blue Eyes White Dragon.
Which, by the way, is a waifu.
Yes, it is. We're not gonna go over that further, but yes, his Blue Eyes White Dragon is in fact a waifu. Anyways, though, it doesn't say who wins in that.
They don't display on who wins that duel.
But Jaden says
but
that was a
it's implied.
fantastic duel. He rides off into the sunset to become a better duelist. And
Yeah, so
essentially lives
they don't say who wins or loses, but it's implied that Jaden loses.
It's implied, but we have no confirmation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But
it's
moving
still a
on-
mystery to this day, bro.
Yeah. Now I guess we could talk about the waifus for 5 minutes.
Alexis Rhodes! Oh my god.
God damn.
Alexis Rhodes, I get given Jose's reaction. Yes. By the way, there's a lot of censorship in this series as well. I.e., the characters, like the girls specifically, have like a. Actually, no, all dwarves have a bathhouse, but like the girls get like this indoor bathhouse,
Hot spring bathhouse is kind of the same thing, no?
Yeah. But
Emphasis on the kinda.
like they censored it in the dub, obviously. They gave them all towels while they were in bathtub. In sub, nah.
No.
But there is a lot, but we're not gonna. Alexis Rhodes, as you can know,
We're not gonna go down that road.
Yeah, people really like Alexis, which is why she's brought back in Arc 5, and then killed off, and then brought back again.
Yep.
I'm gonna be honest. Who didn't like Alexis?
A lot of people didn't like her because she doesn't really do a whole lot.
She really doesn't.
Like, she duels Jaden. She has like that one duel against Chaz when he's simping way too hard.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, here, I stole all the spirit keys to try to proclaim my love for you. And then that's what leads to the end of the final battle too. But I
Well,
guess,
all you have to do is Chaz it up, but not in that way, Chaz.
ironically enough, 5Ds, I guess like we have her two friends, which you don't get, you only see them like what, a few times, but in the series, in Duel Academy, the game, I think they're called like Mindy and Jasmine. Jasmine has black hair. She is a bit of an airhead, and by that I mean she really is an airhead who is very fickle. Mindy is the one that has orange hair and is a bit more laid back. She's essentially like the laid back friend that you would have.
Mhm.
Then we have the one that's extremely controversial because I know they changed her age in the dub for some reason.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. Blair Flanagan.
I fucking called it.
Yeah.
The only female character that actually simped for Jaden.
Yes.
Actually, no, Alexis simps in the 4th season a little bit. Who the fuck is rolling?
Well, yes, but not as bad as Blair.
Yeah.
Because
In the first season,
Alexis was more of a tsundere than she was simping.
She simped near the end, like I said.
Yeah.
But, going on for that, yeah, she was, like, aged down for some reason. I believe they made her 8 in the dub for some reason. But
Made her 8 in the dub, and then they fucking increased her age in
Yeah.
like one season.
yeah, she went from, like, 8 to, like, what, 15?
How?
Yeah, but that's explained in, because she
Character
comes back
development.
in season, she comes back by the end of season 2. and
Character development.
she officially joins back in season 3, where I believe she was 12. 3 years have passed, so yeah, she would be 15 by the time she comes back.
Yeah.
So yeah, Sims for Jaden had a really bad set of decks. She follows this other guy who was possessed by Yubel for a bit in season 3, but I think that goes nowhere.
She was the other guy was Bonaparte's
Son,
nephew.
right? Nephew.
And the dub, it's nephew. He might be his son in the sub.
Yeah. Who the hell is rolling? This is annoying. Anyways, and then our.
You want to know who's rolling? I am. Not really.
I guess
I'm not rolling. I can tell you that.
It was Ethan. I guess for our final one, we should go over. I guess Yubel counts because they treat her as a female character primarily.
In the dub, they did. You guys said in the dub they treated Yubel as a female, and in the sub, they treat her as like a he, him, she, her. Yeah, a they. In other words.
Yeah, because in the past, they keep it pretty ambiguous if Yubel was boy or girl. I think they had her as androgynous. But she was Jaden's ancestor's protector, with the king asking hey, watch over my son for all time, which he does. So that's why Yubel's real. Again, she's also sadomasochist, so that covers the waifus and season overall for GX. I really enjoyed it. It sucks that we never got season 4 though. It really does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the only way you can find it is to sail the 7 seas, so.
I have a question.
Yes.
Actually. What would your guys' reaction be if they managed to make a dub version of the uncut?
Of season 4?
Yes.
Or if they were
all of GX in general.
Oh,
if they managed to make an uncut dub. An uncut dub.
I think I would be fine with it overall. There really isn't much that changes. Oh yeah, your friends are dead. Some slight perv scenes, character changes in age. There really isn't that much, but I'd be fine with it. I wouldn't mind.
Alright.
What about you, Jesse? What would you mind it?
Mind what again?
Basically,
here was my question. What would your reaction be if the creators of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX made an uncut dub of the actual
4th season?
Yeah.
Dude, I'll watch it. I would hope it's good.
Same voice actors as the dub and same everything, but
dude, that
completely taken from the sub.
But that would just be nostalgia.
Yeah, it'd probably be just for nostalgia if we wanted to. But I guess
I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm going back to the first season a little bit. They did that for they made an uncut for the first season, the first Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters.
I think for my DVDs, which I have of a lot of the older stuff, a lot of it is uncut.
Yeah.
But that's also a lot of the fillers, so I can't say everything on that. So, anyways, on to Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds.
Akiza.
We won't start with the waifus yet. We'll get there with the waifus.
Akiza. No.
But
he's gonna keep saying Akiza no matter what.
No, I'm not.
Okay, so this
I'm on the verge of getting a headache. I'm not gonna do that.
This one's definitely on the more mature side, because we start off basically in old Domino City with Yusei, who has lived there his entire life. And old Domino City, basically where the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Took place, suffered a major freak accident that killed off a lot of people and split it into 2 cities, where old satellite now is what it's called is
And for
basically
those,
the ghetto.
and for those who've seen Beyond the Spider-Verse, it's because it's canon. It's a canon event.
But yeah, Satellite, if you're gonna be the most generous, is essentially just the ghetto but worse. Where
Very much.
Yeah, criminals are sent there. They are branded with the mark, which allows the police, sector security to track you no matter what.
Track them down.
Yeah, they brand you with the tracking chip, and for a good for like the first 6 episodes, like the whole goal is for Yusei to get to the city, to defeat Jack Atlas, the rival of the series, and get back his Stardust Dragon, because Jack took it because he cheated.
Like a bitch.
Yeah, he cheated.
Well, no, he didn't cheat.
Yes, he did. Because he
didn't cheat. He didn't cheat because if he cheated, it would have been with a duel. He didn't duel Yusei.
Well, actually, we're gonna get there, but
yeah. But anyways, like, Jack did beat Yusei fair and square, but when he wanted to get Stardust Dragon, he basically got one of Yusei's friends and stranded them in the river. And he said, "What are you gonna do? Are you gonna try to stop me or save your friend?" Yusei chose to save his friend, and Jack took that time to take Stardust Dragon.
And his dual runner.
His dual runner, yes. But because of that, it's not necessarily cheating because it's more blackmailing than it is cheating.
Which is cheating.
Because cheating is referring that he did something to give himself a hand up in the game.
I mean, I would say kidnapping someone and forcing them, like, hey, cheat.
Yeah. No, but he didn't duel Yusei with the ante-rule.
Yeah.
If he was doing Yusei for the ante-rule and with the anti-rule and the forward dual runner on the line, and he did that with Riley, yes, that would consider cheating, but he didn't do that.
But, yeah.
Instead, he just blackmailed him. He was like, okay, you got a choice, this or that.
Yeah, but Yusei does it. Well, we go that Yusei gets to the city, defeats Trudge. By the way, Trudge, that same one in 5Ds, is apparently the same one from Season 0, apparently.
What?
Yeah, in like one of the data books, they say it's the same Trudge, and he's like only 47 years old, I think.
Hell yeah, bro.
Like, the dude's looking good for damn near 50, I believe, but... with that...
Because you can never stop Officer Trudge. You may think you can, but he will keep coming.
Yeah.
But yeah, going off that, Yusei gets to the city, he fights Jack. Turns out he has a magic dragon tattoo that shows up in intense duels. It ends in a quote-unquote draw, or non-conclusion, but it's implied Yusei's gonna win. Actually, no, it's not implied. It flat out stated that he was gonna win.
Against Jack?
In the first duel, because the first...
not
Jack,
I guess,
like... not their first duel, but their first duel on screen in the present.
Yeah.
They're, Jack...
The first current
promoter,
duel in the season.
Yeah, Jack's promoter, Rex Goodwin, or Rex Godwin in the sub, which is just... said like, oh yeah, here, looking at this, Yusei was gonna win. And that pits Jack off the mother.
Yeah, because Jack was like, no fucking way, I still had this many life points. The most that card was gonna do was, oh shit, he would have did one. No, fuck.
Yeah, after that duel, sector security shows up, takes Yusei.
But there is one thing I want to bring up that I find kind of funny. So, yes, Yusei was gonna win, and it was stated that, and Jack actually upheld his end of the bargain and gave Yusei Stardust Dragon.
Yeah.
But Yusei was like, okay, fine, I'll use Stardust Dragon, and I'll make sure Stardust Dragon kicks your ass. Because it's not over until I win, because Yusei thought he lost.
Yeah. But, going forward, yeah, Yusei gets sent to prison, because, you know, in the world of Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, you came from the ghetto? Nah, go to prison.
Yeah. It was a literal crime from someone in the satellite to go to New Domino City.
Yeah, that was dumb. But yeah, Yusei gets sent to prison. He duels his way out. He gets his stuff back because, by the way, if you're a prisoner, they take all your crap. I.e., they take your cards, and your duel runner. Meaning, in this dueling society, you are less than trash.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it.
It's not even like, oh yeah, you're let out of prison here. We're not giving your stuff back. What do you mean? I'm no longer a criminal. Well, you are, but sorry.
Yeah, also, another thing I want to point out is that while Yusei was in prison, it actually showed off quite well how much of a skilled duelist that Yusei actually is.
Yes!
So, while most general characters, like Yugi only ever did this once, where he basically got a bunch of mixed match cards from packs and made a deck with it and beat someone. And Jaden only ever used his one deck. No, Yusei used like 4 different decks. He used his normal deck. No, he used like 3 different decks. He used his normal deck. Then he used a treasure deck that he never even used before. So he's using it for the first time. And then all the inmates had their best and favorite cards from their own decks and put it together to make one deck that Yusei just used and won.
Yeah, he won.
That alone. I'm telling you.
Right.
Sorry, I'm telling you, that alone was really impressive enough. I'm telling you right now, that alone was impressive.
I know, like, he's like, alright, here, let me look at this deck. Alright, I got this. He wins, and he defeats the warden who was cheating.
Yes!
He was flat out cheating, and he still won. Granted, you cheated a little back. He's like, well, I knew you cheated, so I only cheated because you cheated.
Oh, no. So the thing was that, like, Yusei cheated, but he only did it because he knew he was cheating. It was like, okay, there was no way you fucking knew exactly what card I put down because this is a mixed match deck.
So, yeah. So now
and he was like, okay, oh, would you look at that? The power just went off. All right, cool. Let me just go ahead and grab, like, these 2 cards. One that's all the way to the left and the other is all the way to the right. Just kind of swap them. He's not going to know. Oh, and the warden even brought out a Sinker monster.
Yeah. So, and then we kind of like move on to the Fortune Cup, which is like the tournament arc for the series. And, well, actually, no. After Yusei breaks into the police compound to get his stuff back, he duels Trudge again. He gets in an accident. He gets temporary amnesia. And then he's adopted by the twins, Luna and Leo.
I wish I could use fucking the machine deck that Leo has.
I know for a fact when I say this, I am definitely going to get flamed for this, but I never has seen 5Ds before.
It's fine, but I'll tell you this, Luna and Leo, they're the twins. One of them's a signer at first being Luna, and she's not even a very good duelist. What you could know about her personality is this, that she gets annoyed with Leo a lot because they're twins and they're siblings and their parents are never there. So
also, Leo's a dumbass.
Leo is very much an idiot at the beginning of the series, even till the end.
Yeah.
So yeah, Leo for a good portion of the series is an idiot. He doesn't very much do anything other than provide Luna support and hype up Team 5Ds a lot until we get to like the final season. So, yeah, with all that happening, Yusei gets invited to the Fortune Cup, the tournament arc, and that's after they, as a group, Yusei, Bolt, the old guy that he borrowed the treasure deck from, Leo and Luna, they go on a little bit of an adventure spree. They're trying to find an underground duelist, what was her code name? I forget her code name. What? Black Rose Witch, I believe. Was that?
Akiza, Black Rose Witch, yeah.
Yeah, her code name was Black Rose Witch, and when she summons her dragon, Black Rose Dragon, it's like, oh yeah, the dragon tattoo of a signer appears on Yusei's arm. He's like, hey yo, what? And then Akiza, from that moment on until like the middle of season 2. Essentially has a hate boner for Yusei and anyone who has that mark.
I wouldn't say middle of season 2. I'd say like
2/3. No, that's more.
No, I would say 1/3 because I don't know because season one still had the dark side. No, it was season two. Never mind. It was like a third into the season that Akiza had a hate boner.
Yeah, and third into season
because yeah, like it was like beginning of season two. It was like what, maybe like episode 10, 12, something like that. Yeah. And that's when like you say duel Akiza again, and Akiza was like, oh shit, I have feelings.
I have emotions, but granted, my emotions were valid because.
And then her hate boner turns into a love boner.
Just a normal boner. Yeah, that's essentially what happened. So
if you don't understand, don't worry, we do.
You know, we get our tournament arc. Yusei enters, he defeats his opponent, yada yada. Then like the major opponents, like the major duels are Yusei versus Akiza, Yusei versus Greiger, and Yusei versus Jack, where it's revealed that Akiza is a part of a cult of psychic duelists who their leader, Sayer, or in the sub, Divine, is he's like their goal.
You're forgetting another major duel.
Leo versus
Kyle Kessler.
Huh?
Yusei versus Kyle. I think it was like Kyle Kessler, basically his buddy from.
No, that's season 2. It's season 2. We're still in season 1.
Yeah, but season 2 is when they introduced the Darksiders.
Yeah, I know. We're still in season 1. We're talking about like what's happening.
Oh, sorry.
But yeah, that season shows up. The major duel again, like Sayer's like their quote unquote goal is like, oh yeah, no, we just want psychic duels to be accepted for the whole world, so that way we can do that. Now his
in actuality, we want to make everyone fucking suffer and rule the world.
Yeah, he wants an army of psychic duelists because it's explained later on that he kidnaps people who he thinks are psychic duelists, experiments on them to unlock their powers, and if they fail, he just drops them off, and they usually just die soon after.
Yeah,
which is really messed up.
It is.
Continuing. Yusei duels Greiger, whose whole goal is to take out Goodwin. Because Goodwin used an experiment to get rid of his village to try to free up the power of the Crimson Dragon. And because this is anime, Goodwin had a metal arm. Yeah, because when Greiger loses, he runs off the track and he basically like purposely detonates his dual runner, and it sends the giant metal spike hurtling toward Jack and Goodwin's place in the stadium. And yeah, because it's anime, Goodwin has a metal arm. It's explained later. And we then move. Greiger's carried off to jail because, to be fair, he did try to kill someone.
Yeah.
Yeah, Yusei versus Jack. They get their hype battle. Yusei wins, and then we move into Darksiders. In combination. But yeah, as you can no doubt tell, the fact that we spent more time on the plot points of season 1 than any of the other series. That goes to show you kind of like how dark and really kind of depressing this first season is.
Yeah.
Alright then, so I guess like we'll kind of skip around like the Darksiders, all this. Towards the end, it's a very good series overall. Their dragons constantly evolve. Jesse has PTSD because I use one of the archetypes, so.
We don't talk about it.
So, with that, I guess overall, I really like 5Ds. I like it because it's way more mature, and it also they cut out a lot of the stuff in the sub. Like, Jack gets a whole ass new monster that they just say, how the hell did you get it? Don't worry about it in the dub.
Yep.
Where he fights the Crimson Devil, who was so strong that the Darksiders didn't want to bring him back. Like, nah, this guy's too strong. We're not bringing him back.
And Jack Atlas' response was, "Fuck you, I'm Jack Atlas."
Yeah, he takes the power of the Crimson Devil, combines it with Red Dragon Artsfiend against Scar Red Nova Dragon. But yeah. Now, alright, Jesse, here. We're gonna move away from that and go on to waifus.
Please.
Waifus of 5Ds. Again, we really don't have a lot. Our first one, obviously, is
Akiza.
Akiza.
Yeah. So let's kind of like get the... Akiza is crazy and somewhat murderistic for like...
everything you want in a girlfriend.
We'll say that. Akiza's kind of on the murdery psycho side for the first half of the series. And that's
yes, but you can't argue it's exactly what you want in a life.
The reason why is because she's a psychic duelist. Her father was kind of neglectful, and during one of the practices.
So are you talking sub?
Both versions. It's both versions. Like he gets called in for work constantly for like one of the practices.
Yeah, like the dude just didn't prioritize. Like the dude prioritized the work over everything.
Yeah, he's called in for work a lot, and he's like, alright. And like even during one of the duels, like Akiza essentially throws a temper tantrum because like, alright, obviously, like, no, I want to play with my dad. Her psychic abilities activates, and then she injures her dad, giving him PTSD because, you know, oh yeah, my daughter summoned this big ass dragon, sent me crashing into a wall, and now I got a broken arm. And so they're like, oh yeah, here, Akiza, we're gonna send you to this school. And then they drop her off. Essentially halfway to school. Like, see you later, bitch.
Yep.
And then that's when Sayer worms his way in. It's like, oh yes, you've been abandoned because of your gifts. We're gonna change that. You know, wheels her way in. She eventually becomes better. She apologizes. Her dad apologizes. Yusei helps throughout that. She doesn't have access to her psychic powers for a bit. And then, yeah, that basically is the character. She does become better. She does get it back. She becomes a turbo duelist later on with Yusei's help. But unfortunately, because of Crow Hogan, she kind of is put to the back burner. But then again, Kazuki Takahashi has said he can't write females well. He can't write women well.
But which kind of makes sense.
Yeah, but yeah, we're not touching Luna. We're not touching that. Just know at the end of the time skip, she is older. But again, we're not touching that. No. Okay.
Oh, no.
We're moving on to our next one. Which I believe is our only one if we're not counting the games. If we're not counting the games, our next one is Sherry LeBlanc. Or Sherry LeBlanc.
Sherry LeBlanc.
She is French. Not really, but yeah.
You say she is, so she is.
Yeah, so she is a dude very similarly has a backstory to Aster. It's like, oh yes, I lived a good, fortunate life. Then my parents were targeted by the secret cult masters of the Illuminati.
Yeah.
And then I'm trying to figure out, and then I'm written out of the story until season 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's also kind of violent. She is very violent.
Yep.
She knows martial arts, all that, and she is also willing to throw her entire duel runner at the members of the not Illuminati.
Not only that, but if I remember correctly, she basically made Akiza realize that she's bi.
Maybe. Kinda. I think that's manga. I think that's more manga than anything else.
Oh, I'm actually in the middle of reading the manga, but sadly I'm only halfway through.
I only have 2. I think I only have like volume 2 of the manga, which is very different.
I know. I have fucking volumes 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah, any Yu-Gi-Oh manga essentially assume the story is very different and much darker than the anime.
Very, very dark.
Like, here's like the thing, like this dragon.
They'll have some aspects of it, but it's basically an alternate story of what could have happened.
I.e., here's a very short example, and we really won't go into it further. The Crimson Dragon in the anime is a force of good in the universe, while in the manga, it's a force of evil. Which has an evolutionary form, by the way, but we'll leave that at that. So...
And then we could bring up the sad fact of Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5 manga when we get there.
Yeah. But... Oh, wait, I completely forgot. We skipped over a waifu who's, like, my favorite waifu from 5Ds. Carly Carmine.
Yeah. I was...
I don't know why I put Misty. I think it was because... I don't know.
Did you just suddenly switch to Pokemon?
No.
She's like a fortune teller. She's barely in the show. Carly meets her. She becomes a dark sider willingly to get revenge on Sayer because Sayer kidnapped her brother.
Only to find out that he now had to fight Jack.
Yeah, Carly is my favorite one because she, in both versions, Carly is just a massive nerd.
Yes.
And she really is just kind of enjoyable to watch. She's not a very good duelist. She duels like, what, 3 or 4 times? One was with Jack's help. She loses against Sayer. She gets her run back against Sayer, almost kills him, and then duels Jack.
Yeah, so about a total... Well, I'd say about 3 times because she didn't... Because she only helped Jack because Jack's arm was essentially broken and was still in a sling.
Yeah.
So like that. So like I wouldn't really count that. Like yes, you can, but I wouldn't because she was mainly just holding the cards for him while Jack was telling her what to do.
Yeah.
It wasn't actually her dueling.
But Carly also shows Jack a dark future where he's Dark Signer and they're in love together and all that. Jack's like
basically
Jack's like I want to be with you, but I'm not going to do this. I think Jack was like, nah. If I'm gonna go down, if you're gonna lose, I'm gonna go down with you. And Carly, for the briefest of moments, breaks the control of the Dark Signer and loses. And then she fades away in Jack's arms, but comes back later. And then afterwards, she has a very diminished role, and I believe this has to do with the voice actress being a part of her own cult. We're gonna leave that back. We'll leave it at that.
Oh god.
There is one other
Something tells me that we shouldn't open that can of worms.
Yeah.
We shouldn't.
There really is one other in the games, being, I believe, I can't remember if her name is Mizaki or Misaki from Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, because they had 3 series of games. That being like, they had Stardust Accelerator, Reverse of Arcadia, and Into the Nexus. Stardust Accelerator and Reverse of Arcadia are essentially just the season 1 and 2 of 5Ds, with just your own player character inserted. So you go through a lot of the motions, rather than say Jack or any of the other primary antagonists or characters. Like, by the end of I like Stardust Accelerator because it's revealed you're a fake signer. In Reverse of Arcadia, you become a signer instead of Crow. And...
Oh wait, you replaced Crow?
You replaced Crow as a signer.
Oh, no. But Crow, the best signer, though. Even though it was supposed to be Leo, but still.
But, yeah, that's what happened. And Into the Nexus is more of an original story. Sure, you take beats, but you're kind of like working with, like, the side characters. You're kind of off doing your own thing until, like, close to the end of the game. Like, yeah, you meet the other characters, but you're not really involved in the main story. So, like, one of the waifu characters is essentially another version of Antimony, Bruno, the mechanic from 5Ds. She was also set back in time to
Of
stop
course.
the thing from happening. And she's this is another type of dere that you get from Yu-Gi-Oh! Being a kudere. She doesn't really show that much emotion, but when she does, everyone is just scared of her 95% of the time. Like when you face
Makes
the
sense.
people who cheat in Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, she just goes to them. She doesn't say anything. She just slowly walks up to them, and all the guys run off. And all these guys got like 100 pounds on her, and she just
A
walks up to
hundred
them.
pound, 100 pounds means nothing if the
If
woman
you're a
can still punch a
cyborg,
steel
yeah.
beam.
If you're a cyborg, I don't think that matters, but yeah.
It doesn't.
So, I'm probably going to be the one who isn't talking much about Zexal because when Zexal was coming out, I stopped like right at the World Duel Carnival. So, I don't know that much about it, unfortunately. But you know, we're in the future again, and we have solid vision where instead of using dual discs, as you use dual discs to still play, but essentially everyone gets a mini scouter that allows them to see the monsters play out.
Yeah.
Dual gazers.
Dual gazer.
Which is a really cool idea. It's essentially it's essentially virtual reality duel monsters.
Yeah. Our main protagonist is Yuma.
No, I wouldn't say virtual reality. It's more augmented.
Augmented,
virtual.
I would say it's augmented, yeah. Because it's only
I mean,
visible to the duelist and whoever has the gazer on. Everyone else can walk by. And nothing happens.
Bless you. Bless you.
Thank you.
But yeah, our main protagonist this time around is Yuma.
Yuma Tsukumo.
Yes.
If we're going to be honest, is the worst duelist starting off, but he does get better.
So
Yes.
So that's the thing about Zexal. So yes, he's the worst duelist, but it shows that like, oh yeah, even though you're not good at Yu-Gi-Oh, you can still rise to be one of the best.
Yeah, he gets a lot of help from this being called Astral, who somehow is locked within the pendant that he has that he got from his dad. And then the pair go off, they become better. Like the whole point is to collect the number cards, I believe, for like the first and most of the second season. Like, oh yeah, these are all part of...
it was a reoccurring thing throughout all of it because it was still to hunt down the number cards because the number cards were essentially containing a piece of Astra's memory, all 99 of them.
Until they made more.
Yeah.
So,
I'm guessing the one you said made more was the chaos numbers and all that.
I'm not even talking about the chaos.
Because the Barian Force had more because they had numbers 101. Numbers
101 through 7.
Yeah.
All right.
They had all of those.
Also, that Yuma obviously, there's not like 100 episodes of quote unquote filler where Yuma's like, all right, here, let's get number 53, let's get number 82, let's get number 73.
It just happens.
It just kind of just happens, and like Yuma and Astral gains his memories back pretty quickly, and for the most part, he doesn't get the majority of the important ones. Like he doesn't even get all the numbers because numbers were obviously created after the show finished. Like I'm pretty sure number 72, Malevolent Sin, which is just a giant ass spider, wasn't in the show.
Nope. It wasn't.
Yeah, we also don't get a lot of that, unfortunately. So, I would say, like, again, this is like the series I have the least amount of experience with. Because, like, after the World Duel Carnival, I just know, like, oh yeah, Shark's sister gets better. Shark's sister dies eventually.
Yeah, only to be reborn.
A lot of characters show up, I believe in like quote-unquote season 3. Turns out they're aliens that want to destroy the world and Astral World.
Barians.
The Barians. Then you have to fight the guy who has the bullshit, who literally hacked his way and cheated in what was going to be his final duel. He's like, oh, here, let me actually change your card from this to this. And wins.
Yeah.
lot of bullshit.
Yeah, so unfortunately, yeah. But do you know this? Yuma actually becomes a very good duelist.
But he becomes an even more powerful duelist by using the power of Zexal, which is essentially their version of Super Saiyan. And then, at like any Dragon Ball fan, you know it's not just the one. It's Super Saiyan 1. Then you got 2. Then you got 3. And then you have Ultimate, which is 4.
Yeah, so we're not really going to get into it. Jose's the one who knows it the most, I'm going to assume, along with Jesse. So, I don't know if we even want to go over the quote-unquote waifus here because they're all like in middle school.
They're all in high school.
Yeah,
well,
really?
I would say high/middle school.
Hold on. I thought they were in middle school.
Jesse, were they in middle school or were they in high school at the time?
It was middle school. It's just the fact that it was middle school. It's so in the dub, it's middle school, but in the sub, I wouldn't be surprised if they treated it like high school.
High school? Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either.
Okay, so and we're going to have
either way, it's still sus as fuck to try to simp after them.
Yes.
Yeah.
The only one you could really actively simp after was a police officer.
Yeah. And most people don't even
guess I would say Yuma's sister as well.
Oh, here's the thing. Funny thing. Yuma's sister is the only character I believe canonically in the dub to have a kiss on screen.
I wouldn't be surprised about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's like the only character because in one of the episodes Yuma's dueling this guy who was her former, I believe her ex, who she does not like. She flat out says, "I can't believe you're doing this shit. I can't believe you're calling me." While she's making him food while he's dueling Yuma.
Yeah. It's like, I fucking hate you while literally making out with him. And it's like, no, you really fucking don't.
She's a tsundere.
No, because the tsundere gets embarrassed about it. No, she says one thing and does the complete opposite, but isn't embarrassed by it.
Yeah, it's kink. It's a kink, that's why.
It's the guy's kink. He specifically asked her to do this.
Yeah, but the guy, he had like he had a card that basically manipulated luck, so essentially he had the Millennium Puzzle.
And you know what was great about that card? Was that apparently the only way to break that luck was to beat him in luck.
Yes, so you had to break reality to force reality. But he, like, the whole reason, like, the guy came back, he's like, here, I'm just trying to get this card to my sister. My sister needs this surgery, and I promised her to get her something to make sure she's safe. So here, let me get this card that enhances luck. And throughout the duel, this guy's, like, rolling constant, like, the best rolls. It's just near the end where luck is on Yuma's side. But
is it always on Yuma's side?
He's able. He's able. Except for that first duel against Kite. Man got screwed.
Hard.
Okay, to be fair, fucking Galaxy Eyes was just made to counter Xyz in general.
True, because that's how most do. But
also, Jose, fuck you.
But going off that,
I can't even battle with fucking Link monsters.
Well, you're having huge PTSD of me using my Galaxy Eyes deck in Master Duel.
Well, it's not so much as PTSD. It was more the fact that like you kept I just couldn't have fun because I was using in Master Duels I made a pure fucking Utopia deck. And I couldn't use it against Jose because he would always use Galaxy Eyes. And because he would use Galaxy Eyes, a main fucking counter to, Xyz monsters, I just couldn't use it. And I was like, damn. He literally just summons Galaxy Eyes and I just fucking lose. It doesn't matter how strong I make my monster, I have to basically bait and attack, then attack again. But even then, the ability still fucking activates because it's fucking Galaxy Eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving on, Alright, I guess moving past that, we're probably going to hell for this, but let's start off with Tori.
I'm staying away from that. No, I'm staying away from that.
You're like, no, we're staying away from all this. I guess, alright, here, I'll say my favorite character to use from Zexal in Duel Links being Anna. You know, the crazy girl who's really, really strong. Like, she punches a wall and it cracks strong. She's just Amy Rose. You know what? That's all Anna is. She's just Amy Rose.
Yeah.
Isn't Anna the one that fucking... I'm trying to remember who Anna is.
She uses the train deck and she rides around on
yeah.
She rides around on a flying cannon.
She was basically Amy Rose, but in the future.
Yeah.
Amy Rose, like, we do not use hammers. We have technology. A flying cannon.
Yeah.
Technology.
We have technology. So yeah,
we are not gonna go into that. We're not gonna open that can of worms.
Yeah.
Oh, we will, because we're gonna have to, apparently, sadly.
Especially with Arc 5.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so me and Jesse, before we start off, let's explain, like, I guess the biggest plot twist. First things first. There's 4 dimensions. Originally, they were all one. There's this guy in there named Zark, who had mastered the 4 different styles of summoning. Pendulum, Synchro, Exceed, and...
Fusion.
Fusion.
I can't believe I forgot Fusion, and I use Fusion primarily. Yeah, this guy mastered it. But the crowd in the future were a bunch of a-holes who wanted things to be amped up. Now, all Zark wanted to do was perform and make everyone smile.
Basically, to basically simplify the explanation, if you guys remember Holmes' Funniest Videos,
America's Home's Funniest Videos?
Yeah, America's Home Funniest Videos. You know how a majority of it is basically just fucking like child brutality, where a child's like swinging on the swings and all of a sudden they get hit in the nuts because, you know, ha ha ha, funny, child getting hit. It's basically that, where you find amusement in it, but they wanted to see blood, people impaled, people fucking burnt to a crisp. Like, it was just on that level, but extreme.
They just want to see a huge massacre.
Yes.
In other words, they weren't there to see a performance. They were there to see a gladiator fight.
Essentially, and Zark
mostly bloodshed.
Yeah, and Zark wanted to please people, just upped it up and up. Eventually, it went crazy, fused with all his dragons, and essentially went to destroy the world.
He fused with all of his dragons and became the dragon.
Eventually, this girl named Ray came in. Decides to split Zark and the universe into 4 different dimensions: Standard, Synchro, Exceed, and Fusion, where each world only has one of the fusion, has only their summoning mechanic, except for Standard, which has all of them.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's the major plot point. YUGIOH is the embodiment of Zark's entertainment and people wanting to make people smile, which is why he's the most sane of them.
He is.
Yeah. He's the most sane. We have his other counterparts, because Ray also split herself, and where we have Zuzu, and
Yuzu in the sub.
Yeah. Or Yuzu, Zuzu. Basically, every universe has their version of a piece of Zark and a piece of Ray.
Yeah.
And the fusion dimension is where the professor is, Leo Akaba, I believe.
Leo Akaba, yes.
And this guy's like, no, I want my daughter back because Ray's the daughter that sacrificed. So his goal is to invade the other dimensions, find the pieces of his daughter, fuse them back together, and but when he does that, he's also leading the pieces of Zark back together, which would cause...
Because clearly he doesn't see the fact that they had a loving relationship with each other.
Yes, yeah. And then,
yes.
And then we have this whole multi-dimensional battle between Fusion versus everyone else. And Fusion is damn good at doing its job.
In other words, think of basically Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, and remember how happy and fun it was. And then throw that out the window, and they're all just cold-blooded savages.
All right. And we also should explain this as well. each of the universes besides Standard has like their quote-unquote representative of like that popular character from the series besides the protagonist. So for Synchro, we have Jack Atlas and we have Crow. Originally, I believe we were also going to get Akiza, but we never did. I believe for Xyz, we had Kite. Kite was really our only Xyz representative. We didn't get Stark, we didn't get Blanc, we didn't get Tori, we didn't get any of like...
So it's because at that point in time, essentially almost all of the Fusion Dimension was fucked up, so...
Xyz, not Fusion.
Sorry, Xyz.
Alright.
All of the Fusion Dimension was already fucked up at that point, so they probably had more representatives, but it was probably just the fact that, like, oh, they showed up so late that we couldn't fully see the representatives they had.
Yeah, so we maybe could have saw Shark, or maybe Shark got killed off early. We also
I would not be surprised, because don't forget the tactic that the Fusion the Duel Academy used was essentially just like not really
jumping people. That's their tactic. They jump people.
Yeah. So if you guys remember in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, they had this episode where basically there was dual ghouls, where it was just students who ended up getting succumbed to the fatigue and the way of the world, where they became like dual zombies essentially, and no matter how much you beat them, they would just keep getting back up. Duel Academy was essentially dual ghouls, but not in the way when they lose they'll get back up. No, it was just in the way that they would have 50 people duel one person. But every fucking Duel Academy user, or every Duel Academy foot soldier, had the same fucking deck.
I believe it was Ancient
Gears.
It was Ancient Gears, yes.
And I believe they primarily focused on burn damage.
They did primarily focus on burn damage. But
so
whenever they didn't want to...
Screw those guys. Burn damage sucks to fight against.
It is. But even if they didn't heavily use burn damage, they also had another method, which was essentially just using Ancient Gear monsters, because apparently the one thing about Ancient Gear is that almost 90% of their fucking cards is that, oh, during my battle phase, you cannot activate traps or spells on my monster's attack.
My Dragon Maze will make short work of that.
Well, I know, but I'm saying, like, that was basically the fucking gimmick of Ancient Gears, and it's like, wow, no wonder fucking Xyz, like, the fucking Xyz Dimension fell, because one, most of them had to rely on spells and trap cards to bring out multiple monsters at the same level to Xyz summon.
Yeah, and that's why, we'll also say this, because I've watched the sub by Sailing the Seven Seas. The sub is, like, way darker, because most of
the sub of Arc 5? You just got control for that.
Yeah, the sub of Arc 5 is incredibly dark. Like,
yes.
Like here's an example. I believe they cut this out of the show, but when like Shun or Shay Obsidian or Shun Kurosaki was dueling Sora, they're having like flashbacks and all this. So essentially they turned the entire Xyz dimension into entertainment duels, but it's forever on, and you will die. Because like they had a group of fusion soldiers entering a building, and a widespread ruin was on the ground. That building explodes. Yeah. Yeah, so it's incredibly dark as a series. So
if you want to watch it, you don't have to sail the seven seas for it. You could just, as Jesse said, you could just go on Crunchyroll. They have it.
They have it on Hulu as well, but I prefer the.
Well, okay, here's the thing. So on Hulu, they only have dub, while Crunchyroll only has sub.
Yeah. Crunchyroll only has the
sub.
Hulu has only the dub, which I hate, which is why I don't watch it.
Mm-hmm.
And you said Crunchyroll has the sub?
Yes.
Crunchyroll only has sub. As in, if you were to go on Crunchyroll and look for Arc 5, it would only be one, and that one is a sub. You cannot even go to a different season to change it to dub, it's just sub.
Yeah, and that unfortunately kind of like messes it up and makes it harder for me to watch because a lot of like the nuance and like the really dark parts, that's cut out. So, like I said, I believe Widespread Ruin, mentions of blood, the parasites. Yeah, because parasites were also in this show. So, yeah, it gets very dark. Characters get killed off. There's one guy who essentially is like, I probably won't choose to get captured. And he learned from Yuya's dad. He essentially cards himself. And that's the end of it. The dude cards himself. And that's really messed up and dark. So, yeah, very dark series. So I guess we should go over each of the counterparts here. Or at least of the quote-unquote main two characters versus everyone. Just note that, like, characters from, like, older series appear. Like, Alexis appears, but she's more of a ritual duelist than anything else. We don't get... I guess we could also explain... Jesse and I had a theory as to why certain things can show up. But... first thought, Yuya and Zuzu, your guys' thoughts.
I don't think they should be together. They were too contrast to be a pair.
Opposites attract, except opposites also repel.
Well, no, because it wasn't opposites attract. It was opposites get smacked with the fan.
Yeah, if Yuya is slightly anything annoying or dumb in Zuzu's eyes, she would smack him with a fan. Which was her thing. Like, she would smack her own father, she smacked YUGIOH. I think the only
Oh, wait, hold on. That reminds me of something real quick. So, I read fanfiction.net stuff and Archive of Our Own.
Yeah,
I wanted to tell you, Kashmir, that the story I was telling you about, because there was a story that I found quite a bit ago, last year and a half ago. And this story was called Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5 5Ds.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
The premise of it was essentially where at the end of Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, Yusei gets sought out by the Crimson Dragon to go to the world of Arc 5, where he then teaches Yuya and helps him become a better duelist. So, for as long as I can remember, that fanfiction only had 9 chapters and didn't get an update until 3 days ago, where the 10th chapter finally came out.
I'll look at it because I'm pretty sure the 10th chapter came out a while ago. But that was.
I will fucking look, but I'm telling you, it did come out 3 days ago.
Okay, so. Okay. But yeah, just note, I guess, going over this, fanfiction is something that I read, me and Jesse specifically, enjoy reading, because it's, always fun to see new ideas. But, yeah. I think Yuya is okay. The whole dual taming thing was kind of annoying, making people smile, I'm not gonna lie. And the fact that, I guess, when he's part of the final boss that is Zark, he is the reason why they're able to win at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess I should also bring into this, if you play Duel Links, this is where you also get a lot of continuation of the story or certain events. The only genre that hasn't really gone to the quote-unquote story continuing it, actually no, it's what? Most of the series besides 5Ds, Arc 5, and Brains, they're the ones whose story constantly gets updated with more interesting and new content. Unless they do one of the crossover events. So I guess recently, not even recently, a while ago, they've been splitting off Yuya's personalities in different portions of Zark in Duel Links. So we have Yuto, who's been out for a while, but YUGIOH has been there for about 2 months. And And Selena has recently been added into Duel Links. You can unlock her right now at the time of recording.
Oh shit.
Selena.
I wish I still play Duel Links, but I don't because I'm fucking trash.
Selena being the fusion counterpart. Yeah, Selena is the fusion counterpart to Zuzu, who I guess we could go into her present. She's very aggressive, and she was a foot soldier. Well, not even a foot soldier. She was part of Duel Academy, but she was not allowed to fight on the front line. So when she breaks orders and does, the first thing that happens is that Declan...
She gets mixed.
She gets captured, but Declan explains the situation. Yeah, the professor, he's an a-hole, and here's what his plan is. And then Selena almost...
No. First he was like, oh yeah, it's like the professor you believe so much about is like, oh yeah, one, he's my father, and two, he's a dick.
Yeah, and here's all the things he's planning to do. And Selena basically changes sides immediately. And then she gets captured later on, brainwashed with an actual parasite in her brain.
Which is also a dual monster, by the way.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think she essentially, quote-unquote, dies, fuses back into Zuzu and all that. So...
To create Ray.
But funny thing, Ray's actually broken into 5 parts. Not 4 like Zark was. Ray was broken into 5 people.
Yep.
But
and one of them was a child.
Who grew up and was very emotionally distant and didn't show anything.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, like, Declan's whole goal was to make her smile.
Because apparently, if she smiled, then Zark would disappear.
But yeah, that didn't happen. So
until YUGIOH came along and became the best dual tainer and finally made Declan laugh by cheating.
Yeah. So
yeah, that's pretty much it.
We have our 2 other counterparts for fusion and Xyz, being Rin and I want to say Lulu.
Rin is wait, you said Synchro, right? Or
Synchro and Xyz, because they really don't have a prominent role other than being brainwashed parasites. Yeah, they really don't have a role. I believe Rin has purple hair while Lulu has green. Oh my gosh.
No.
I can't remember which one because I haven't seen it.
Lulu has purple hair and Rin has green.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I got them mixed up. So, I guess like here, we'll move on to YUTOH and YUGIOH. YUTOH is the far more calm duelist of any of them.
He's also the most ruthless as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like YUTOH is the most harmless.
He's a child soldier. So
yes. So it doesn't change the fact that he's the calmest and most ruthless. Yuri is the most sadistic one. YUGIOH is just the most is the bubbliest one. YUGIOH is like YUGIOH is like the dumbest one, but also the most bubbly because you can't help but like him. While YUGIOH is like, wow, you're like the little brother I kind of wish I had but didn't because of all the stupid shit you do.
Yeah. So, YUTOH basically being a child soldier was.
I remembered the manga.
We're not gonna go over the manga, at least not yet.
It didn't change the fact that I remembered the ending of the manga.
All right, so
of Arc 5.
Yeah.
All right, we'll get there, but YUTOH, again, he comes over to the standard dimension looking for his love interest.
Only to find Zuzu.
Only to find Zuzu, thinking it's her, but realizes pretty quick. By the way, I guess we should get this out of the way because we didn't mention it. I guess, like, to the world, quote unquote, we only, as the viewers, they have to give the characters distinct visual differences to make sure we are confused. But in the world of Arc 5, all the counterparts to everyone else look the same until they get to know them as people. Whereas, like when YUGIOH first shows up and duels Silvio, because he was harassing Zuzu.
Uh-huh.
Yuto, Yuto defeats him, and he
was mistaken as Yuya.
Silvio blames Yuya, but it's not Yuya. But that is until they figure out later on, because like even in Duel Links they have this happen with Selena being recently added. Gong says like, "Oh hey Zuzu, oh wait no, you're Selena," and then like yeah, that's like a constant thing that's happened. Like everyone confuses them at first, and then as they get to know them as people, they start to notice the differences. So,
right.
Explanation done.
Fuck.
We can already tell which one Jose likes, given the fact of his name. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty much a dead giveaway.
I will say that if I was gonna say who's the most annoying to quote unquote face, I would probably say Yugo or maybe even Yuri, because Yugo's Synchro Dragon, Clearwing, I believe it is.
Clearwing Synchro Dragon.
One of the most broken fucking cards.
Because
yes!
I believe in the show, if a monster activates its effect, period.
Okay, so in the show, it actually works the same way as it does IRL. So one is that if a monster activates an effect that targets a level 5 or higher monster, then you can target that card, negate its effect, and destroy it, and also gain its attack points.
Yep.
The other half of it is that if a monster that's level 5 or higher activates an effect, you can do the exact same thing.
Yeah, so I would definitely say his is more annoying to fight, whereas Dark Rebellion in the show is slightly different. It cuts your attack in half, or it cuts your opponent's attack in half, and you gain that attack.
For each overlay unit.
Yeah, for each
Yeah, and you could do that twice.
Whereas in the game, you have to remove both of them at the same time.
But its effect is always stays until it leaves the field.
It's essentially permanent.
It's permanent, whereas in the game, actually, I believe in the show it reverts, whereas in the game it's permanent.
No,
Yeah.
no. In the show, it goes back.
In the show, it reverts. Well, in the game, after using those 2 overlay units, it's permanent. The difference between the 2 cards is permanent.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I guess like we've kind of like already gone over Yugo as Jesse put it. He's like the most bubbly. He's like the most airheaded because he confuses every version of. Like, and then everyone like kind of like smacks him for it. Like
I prefer the running gag. I prefer the running gag of everyone calling him Fusion.
Oh yeah.
It only makes sense if you watch the sub. Because I believe in the sub, I believe it's like Hugo is what they call him.
No, his name is literally Fugal, which is the same pronunciation for Fusion, which is Fugal Shokan. Yeah, but his name is literally spelled Fugo. Fugal.
Yeah, because in the version I watched, they give the characters like different distinct names. Like Yuri is it's Y-U-U-R-I, whereas Yuto is
That's the same with Yuto.
Yeah, it's the same with Yuto. Yugo is the only one where they changed it to Hugo because that's how they kind of pronounced it. But the whole gag is like, hey, my name is not Fusion. Stop calling me that. And that's the whole reason for a lot of his fights.
Yeah. So the reason
his duels is because he's too much of a hothead.
Yeah. So the reason I said what I said was because whenever you do, like for nerds like me and Jose, we would get into the role and we would say Fugo Shokan or Exiza Shokan. We would say that stuff because we're those cringy kind of nerds.
Yeah.
But in Arc 5, when you say Hugo, you also hear that when they say Fugo Shokan or Hugo Shokan because you're saying it really quickly.
Yeah. And
so that's why
he gets pissed. He's like, my name is Fugo, Fugo, not Fugo, or for like confusion. And that's why he gets extremely mad, and that's why he's a hothead, and that's the whole reason
if I remember correctly, I think in one of the sub episodes, if you were to look at the subtitles, he says, "My name is not Fusion, it's Fusion."
He says
Did someone mistype it or something?
It's like
I think
maybe
someone
it might have
mistyped
been
it.
an accident, like a translation error. But it's like, my name is not Fusion, it's Fugo.
Yeah.
But and like that's the whole point. Like his attitude and how quickly he gets mad is like the whole reason Yuto dies. Because my initial impression, I thought Yuto didn't die until they invaded Duel Academy. That was my thought process. I thought Yuto wasn't gonna die until they invaded Duel Academy.
I thought Yuto was gonna be a Chad and help save the world, but nah, they had to massacre our boy.
Yeah.
And so that happens. I guess we could go into Yuri now, the most sadistic, evil motherfucker to ever live in Yu-Gi-Oh. Besides, like maybe
Also the most skilled out of the 4 reincarnations of Zark.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I'm not even gonna hands down tonight. The man just flat out says, I don't even need to use. He goes up against 4 people who are planning to take him down, and he's like,
Okay.
man, I don't even need to use my normal deck.
Okay,
I'll use the
so-
basic
so let us-
ancient gear.
Let me help classify real quick. So yes, he duels 4 people, and you would think, oh, these 4 people just use like a basic deck. No, these 4 people will bring out, like, one of them brought out a XYZ Dragon Cannon. The other one brought a fucking Boxer Kangaroo that had 4,000 attack points. Another one brought out another monster. It brought out fucking Oramajama, or King Oramajama, which basically
Ojama King?
Ojama King, sorry, just fucking names. Anyways, Ojama King, which basically got rid of Yuri's 3 monster zones and had 3,000 defense. And another one brought out a different monster that had 4,000 attack points. And Yuri beat them all by using the standard Ancient Gear Golem deck that was mass produced and not his deck.
Yeah.
But he still used it to bring out his ace monster.
Yeah, he was that good.
Starving Venom Fusion Dragon.
If we were going to give the personification of he is him for Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5, it's Yuri. Yuri is that guy in a good portion, because he also defeats Alexis in the show.
Yeah.
He defeats Yugo, absorbs that part of him.
Well, Yugo kind of did it to himself because he gave in to the rage of Zark and fucked up Aster.
Well, to be fair, that's what happens a lot when any of the counterparts of Zark duel one another. The rage and the feelings that they had intensify, and they can. And I believe someone who isn't dueling is the only one that can bring them down. And even then, it's very rare.
Yeah.
Because Yuto, in his duel against Yugo, he was in the rage, but Yuya brings him out.
Both of them were in the rage.
Yeah, Yuya brings him out of it. It's like, no, this isn't you. I've gotten to know you. Zuzu's gotten to know. He's like, shit, you're right. But Yugo's still in that rage, beats him. That's how Yuto dies. Gets absorbed into Yuya, and yeah. So
Can't believe they did my boy Yuto like that.
again, I felt like
It's you know damn well if they didn't do that, you wouldn't have one of your favorite Xyz monsters.
True. I will definitely say it probably would have been better if they killed them off during the tag duel between what? Who was Selena dueling with?
Okay, so here's the thing. It was Selena and Lulu dueling Yuya/Yuto.
Yeah.
It was basically that kind of matchup. And people wondering, Yuto, they did this weird thing where Yuto was able to just kind of take over Yuya and basically replace Yuya with himself.
Yeah, I seen that happen.
Essentially, they also have a Yugi and a Tem relationship where he can communicate with him pretty effectively.
Yeah.
Where Yuto would show up periodically and say like, "Oh hey."
Another thing that was crazy about this was that their deck would actually... So technically they cheated because the deck they used changed mid-battle as well.
Oh yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Because in the very beginning, Yuya was dueling, and then when Yuto took over, he was using only Phantom Knights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He wasn't using Performer Pals.
Yeah, but yeah, and it also leads to one of like the overkill moments where
Odd Eyes Raging Dragon.
yeah, I believe the two. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it was censored, but I remember there was like a specific version where he shot out the attack, and the two dodged it, but they flat out see a hole in the wall. They're like, "Oh like the mind control breaks for a second. They're like, "Oh shit! If that hit us."
Yeah, it was like, oh shit, we would have been ash.
Yeah, that happens. They still lose. And it's one of the few moments where Yuya, I think he gets PTSD off it. He's like, oh my god, what did I almost do?
He didn't actually.
Oh,
so the only time he didn't do that because what happened was that he basically got a migraine and then just kept trucking because he had to find Zuzu.
Yeah.
So he didn't have time to wallow in it. When he did get PTSD was when he summoned Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon for the first time.
Oh, now I remember.
Is it that
when he first summoned Dark?
Is it that when Fusion invaded the citywide?
No. So the very first time it happened was when a dude who basically was jealous of Yuya basically developed his whole duel style of literally beating the fuck out of his opponent to get an action card.
Yep, I know that dude.
And he basically used the monsters that I hated because it made me just like rage quit against Klein because I told Klein that we were going to do Elements of Heroes and he fucking brings in a random fusion monster that this guy used that was essentially broken because the way it worked is that if this monster were to attack another or another monster attacked it, then depending on what if that monster's level was higher, then the attacking monster or the attacked monster would just fucking lose all its abilities.
I thought it loses all of its attack points as well.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah.
So like that itself like just made it like so fucking broken. It was when Yuya was dueling him, and then he basically lost control and summoned Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon, and it was basically, oh yeah, by the way, this monster doesn't have a level; it has a rank, which is not.
Xyz monsters have ranks, not levels. Yeah. Therefore, the effect is negated.
Yep.
Alright, I'll be right back. Hold on.
Alright, yeah, I think I'm remembering what you're talking about. That guy.
Yeah, because it was like right after.
He was like an actual like physical dude. Like he's like fuck this shit. He was he actually beat the crap out of one of the.
He did.
Legitimately.
He did. There was a dude who was basically like in the Kendo club, and he was synchro duelist who used like X Warriors. And he literally beat the fuck out of him mid-duel. And he did the same to Yuya. And this dude would, like, go in, elbow him in the gut. He would kick him in the back of the head. He would, like, step on Yuya's hand just to get an action card. He would even grab, like, a bamboo stick and throw it at Yuya like a spear.
Yeah, this dude was crazy.
Yeah,
I know.
I remember what you're talking about because it leads to that one scene where Yuya basically just snaps where Zark essentially comes out. And that's why I like the sub more, where Yuya was essentially is like angry, pissed. Whereas in sub, Yuya is just quiet, controlled.
Ore no tan, doro, action magic, Mado Hurricane Hatsudo.
Yeah, the dude Yuya just flips personality. Zark is out, and it's just all effective, all in.
But yeah, dude, when I first saw the comparison in the dub and the sub of when Yuya fucking snaps,
it's so
dude, the sub one sounds a whole lot more sinister than the dub.
Yeah, because he's mad in the dub, whereas this one he's calm and collected.
Yes, while being berserk. Holy shit.
So, I feel like we got over all the different counterparts. Two of them really don't matter because they don't get much screen time at all. We just know that they have a pretty cool archetype when they're mind controlled.
Even then, the archetype is not that good.
True.
Because Lulu basically used Lyrisix, which was essentially Lyralust, which were essentially like just low-level wind spirits that could create a Xyz monster that only had one rank. It was rank 1. And it would basically allow that monster to either do burn damage or attack directly. A multitude of times.
Yeah. but I've seen it happen so many times when someone would did that and they would go into Zeus with it afterwards. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
um, if we're gonna consider like the quote unquote, I I really don't want to do this. This is another case of like, oh yeah, I'll rank the waifus, but it's like, not really. It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah, not really.
like all versions, just like we're not touching that. Like I guess like we already ranked Alexis. It's just that Alexis is older in this version.
And
Yeah.
isn't Dual Academy basically like a college in some
Yes.
way?
It's a
It's a legit
military
academy.
school. It's a military academy. They take
Yeah, but it's also a legit college. Like it's a legit academy, college.
I was talking about GX, not Arc 5 for a
GX
second
is
there.
more of a
High school life.
Yeah, GX is definitely more high school. Whereas this in Arc 5, Dual Academy is like a legit military academy.
A military academy, yeah.
They train child soldiers, remember that.
Yeah.
I will say, like, we kind of like, Alexis and Yuya's mom? Like, oh, yes. Yeah.
I think maybe Yu-Gi-Oh! Wait.
Like,
Yeah, I think Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5 was the first introduction to the protagonist mom. Though I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
No, you're not. We have like the orphan care owner for Yusei, Jack, and Crow, but that's it. Like,
so I want to point something out. So I wouldn't say mom because it's an adopted mother.
Yeah. It's
because because Yuya was just brought into the world. He wasn't conceived. He was just brought there. And it's stated even by his father that he has no idea celebrating the birth of Yuya. He just know that Yuya was there.
That's weird.
Yeah, like he figured this out because he figured that his friend, which was Zuzu's dad, also adopted father, was like, oh yeah, I just celebrated my little girl's birthday. And then the dude was like, wait, hold on a second. Bro, you a virgin. How the fuck you get a daughter?
He was like, wait, yeah.
Yeah, he was like, hold on. He was like, wait, hold on a second. You're a virgin. How the fuck did you get laid? And then he was like, wait, hold on. When was the day? What? Yeah, he was like, no, because he didn't get laid yet. He's like, wait, hold on. When was Yuya born?
Yeah. And like that's kind of like a funny thing that's like, wait, hold on. Like it's that meme of like all the numbers and everything going off in his head like yeah, so we essentially get that. We're not really rating the females. We're not touching that with a 10-foot pole.
No. Keep me out of this.
So moving on to Vrains. I have little to no idea on what happens. I just know that Playmaker's partner becomes the final boss. There's a lot of torture in the series. People die. Blue Angel gets dropped from a building and hits face first into the ground. That was censored.
But don't worry, she's still alive. Somehow, magically.
This is Yu-Gi-Oh! Remember, this is anime. So people, God, freaking dang it. People can.
Okay, so let me clarify. So yes, this is Yu-Gi-Oh! Yes, this is anime. But another thing is that Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5 doesn't take place in the real world. It takes place in the virtual world.
Yeah. So
because of that, like yes, the characters can still feel pain in the virtual world, but you have to put in a specific code. But it essentially means that your character is now like basically superhuman, so they can go through what no other character could.
Yeah. So that's what makes it, quote unquote, make sense. But I just know, like, I essentially just wanted to live because they were brought into the world, the Ignis. It's like, man, we just want to live to bring humanity and AI together. But the Hayoi, the people in white trench coats. Oh shit, that sounds way darker now.
Are you guys talking about Vrains?
Yeah,
The Knights of Holloway.
The Knights of YUGIOH, the guys in the white trench coats that make the KKK look tame, at least by Yu-Gi-Oh standards.
Yeah.
But yeah, they don't like AI because AI is the reason why I believe like one of their members died. And
no.
The rival in the series, fuck, I forget his name. What is his name? Revolver. Yeah, he is really messed up because like in one of the duels, like with Blue Angel, she's like, why? And when he wins, it was like a tag duel with her and her brother versus Revolver. It's like, why would you take out my brother? Why? And I think Revolver flat out states like, so you know the pain that you can feel right now. Like the dude's just flat out an a-hole for most of it.
But okay, so he's an a-hole, but for an actually good reason.
True.
So, to clarify a bit more, the Hawaii didn't actually hate AI because it killed one of their members. No, the Hawaii hated the AI, or more specifically, the Ignis. All of them were different Ignises. You had the Ignis of Dark, then Light, then Lightning. Basically, all the attributes in Yu-Gi-Oh! It was because Revolver's father found out that the Ignis, that if kept alone or unchecked, would eventually lead to the end or destruction of humanity.
Yeah.
But only the Knights of Hawaii had this information and never disclosed it to anyone else. So only they knew about this, which is why they hated the AI to such an extent.
Yeah, it really doesn't seem to help their message. Like, oh yeah, here, we need to help
to destroy these things because if left unchecked, they will just flat out screw over the world. And let us not tell anyone about this.
Yeah. Well, it's because it's that point you have to realize, because like these AI are special because these are now sentient AIs, which, by the way, their origins are a lot darker than you think. Because the origins of which is the Dark Ignis that pairs up with Playmaker, his origin is the fact that Playmaker was kidnapped as a child and was forced to play in a duel simulation every fucking day, or at the end of it, if he were to lose, he would be in pain. This was actually an experiment where they collected the memory of him or his thought process and used it to create a sentient AI that was his other half, thus Ignis, the Dark AI.
Yeah, you notice how dark.
And so the other attributes, the other six attributes, basically each one of them had their own Ignis. Even Revolver was a test subject as well, and his was the Lightning Ignis.
Is that explains why Revolver's is like so cruel in comparison?
Yes.
Well, shit.
So, like, that explains why Revolver is, like, so cruel, because his was the Light Ignis, and the Light Ignis, I believe, was, like, super, super sadistic, but was also super cocky. He was the other half of Revolver.
Yeah, so...
Then you have Soulburn, where his Ignis was the Fire Ignis. The Fire Ignis was basically, as you would expect, fired up. He was pumped about everything, while Soulburn was just more reserved and wanted to be hidden.
Yeah.
Then Playmaker, he was calm, cool, and calculated, because when he was traumatized, why wouldn't you be? And so he had found a coping mechanism, while his Shadow Ignis was essentially, hey, let's just go ahead and attack and fuck strategy.
Yeah. A lot of it, and then when you get to the final duel of the two,
Bro, that hurts so hard.
Yeah, it's sad. Like, it's a very depressing duel. They make a lot more jokes in the dub, obviously, but that final one where Playmaker wins and he's like holding Ai's human body, it's like, he's essentially traumatized all over again.
Yeah.
And
well, he's traumatized, but to an extent, because he just lost a friend that not only understood him, but he could actually trust and confide in.
Yeah.
But the reason that happened was because Ignis even explains, like, hey, you have to duel me. This duel must happen, because if it doesn't, sooner or later, if we try to coexist, I will end up destroying the world, even if I didn't want to.
Yeah.
I tried doing it. I've done millions, billions, trillions of calculations and different routes that I could have taken or we could have taken. Any different variable at this point in time, and all of them lead to the same thing.
Yeah, that leads to the most depressing part, honestly. But
yeah,
hey, this is where the continuation happens in Duel Links, because Duel Links is essentially just a continuation of Reigns, especially with its world. Because you don't get access to Playmaker first, you get access to Soulburner. And I believe Soulburner is, I believe, what, the only character to give Playmaker his one canonical loss? Until Blue Angel showed up and people complained, why is Playmaker so easy to beat? And that's mainly because she asked him, like, hey, go easy on them, don't fuck up their shit.
So there's a different reason why Playmaker goes easy. So I don't really know Duel Links because, like I said, I stopped playing it. All I know is that I'm basically a Playmaker fan because, yes, my Link deck is all Cybers. I do use Firewall Dragon Dark Fluid. And I do have Cybers Quantum Dragon. I have Cybers Clock Dragon. And I have Firewall Dragon or Firewall Exceed Dragon and Firewall Dragon. In Master Duels, at least. I have some of those cards IRL, and I basically use the exact same deck.
Yeah, he does.
Yes. And both decks bring the exact same results, where I Link summon 50 times in one turn, and everyone hates me for it. Well, most people hate me for it. Most people hate me for it.
Pretty much.
But, if I had to guess why in Duel Links, it's because Playmaker is because at this point in time when Playmaker was introduced in the show, his main style of dueling was speed duels. But there's another thing which is the same kind of duels in Duel Links, which utilizes the power of 1, 4,000 life points, 2, 4 cards in your hand, the deck size is like 20, 25, and if you reach a certain point with your life points, you get a skill.
Yeah, it's basically just Duel Links, so...
Duel Links.
Yeah, they literally just play Duel Links. But the fact that Duel Links, they didn't start off with Yu-Gi-Oh! Reigns, because it would have been better if they started off with Reigns, then branched out to the later, or the earlier shows.
But they didn't do that. They started off with Duel Monsters because that, to be fair, the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Series is the most popular, and in... I guess, like, this is where we take the jumping off point into the other things. Only 3 of the worlds in Duel Links get continuations, so to speak. We get 5Ds gets a continuation. What else? Reigns and Arc 5. 5D's continuation is when you first enter the world. It's supposed to be after the end of the series, when Jack says, like, "Oh hey, you finally got my message to join," you say. And then, and Jack basically says, like, look, I'm not going to fight you yet, because in this world, we don't have access to our Signer Dragons unless we use these skills.
Yep. So which I call bullshit. I call bullshit on that.
Yeah,
that just sucks.
It was a balancing mechanic. It was a balancing mechanic at the time when 5Ds was added.
I know, but it still sucks that, like, basically, Yu-Gi-Oh! And Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, you basically get their free Ace Monster, but no, after 5Ds came out and onwards, you had to have a skill to access the dragons or a different Ace card.
Yeah.
Which, yes, I can kind of understand because a majority of the cards after, or like the series after their Aces were extra decks, which makes sense.
And they're pretty. Some of them were pretty OP. Like, and they. Alright, yeah, I can understand why we're not. Like, they did that with Utopia. They did that with Kite, Shark. They even did it with Tori, but it's mainly just to make sure you could spend gems to get the cards.
In other words, money.
Yeah.
We want you to spend money.
So I'll say this. We got a few events where we got Arporia, Paradox, and not too long ago, Zone. So... I believe Arporia came first.
Z1.
Yeah. The biggest one is Paradox, because Paradox, when he first showed up, he was like a roaming boss. You would fight him-
Protagonist.
Wow, Tagonist!
Paradox, when he first showed up, like I said, he was a roaming box. He showed up in 5Ds, and every one of the designers was like, "Hey, yo, why is Paradox here?" Especially Yusei. It's like, "Paradox, why are you here?" And Paradox is just kind of doing his normal thing, like with spawns throughout time. So we get the whole event, and then lead back into the original Duel Monsters to fight Paradox. And here's the funny thing: if you went through like the different characters, everyone tries to explain to Paradox, "Hey, yo, what's going on? No, this isn't happening." You get some funny what-ifs, like with Joey, Kaiba, Zane, Jesse. Like, "Hey, why'd you steal my dragon?" So the most interesting one.
Okay, so I just want to make sure. I just want to let everyone know my first name is Jesse. So when Kashmir said Jesse, I almost responded.
I have it on the screen right here. You seen it? I have it on the screen.
I'm not gonna lie. I almost said, "Hi, what do you need?" And I was like, "Wait, no. There's a guy named Jesse in GX. Don't do it."
The most interesting one by far is when you use Maximilian Pegasus, because remember, in Bonds Beyond Time, Paradox's whole goal was to go back in time, kill Pegasus, and it's like, yes, now Duel Monsters will never happen. So it's the most interesting one, because Maximilian Pegasus, before the duel starts, says, "It won't matter if you kill me, because even if I'm dead, Duel Monsters will continue." And Paradox is like, "What?
Yes.
What do you mean? That isn't possible." And then this is where like the biggest dump of like lore comes out, because like in my world, I'm already dead. And then Paradox is like, "What?" Like the music gets in, like you have like the typical like boss music. The music stops and it gets sinister.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then-
damn.
And then Pegasus is like, "And Duel Monsters still continues." And then Paradox is like, "So wait, even if I kill you, does this mean the multiverse exists?" So yes, Yu-Gi-Oh! Now has a multiverse.
So there is one thing I wanted to bring up. So in Bonds Beyond Time, yes, Paradox thinks that it works. No, the only way it would work was because Yu-Gi-Oh was already presented
Yeah.
at that time. Yu-Gi-Oh was already a thing at that time when he went back in time to kill Maximilian Pegasus.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
The
it
only way
gets
for
rid
him,
of that
the only
problem.
way for, yeah, but I was gonna say like the only way his plan would have worked is if he stayed there and essentially challenged any duelist and basically hurt them to the point where they would be hospitalized to make everyone stop.
Yeah.
All you have to do is basically take out like, let's say like 20 or so duelists to show that, oh, if you even try to play this game, and you're going to get screwed over and you're going to get hospitalized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Which then his plan would have worked and would have stopped it.
So.
But they only did that for plot reasons, so.
Yeah. When you could unlock Arporia, if you challenge Arporia with against Paradox, Arporia says like, "Look, man, we already failed. Everything already happened. We're trying to make this thing better." They actually were able to win. Paradox is like, "Well, that just means your plan failed. We each all had different plans to go back to try and change history." And so they still duel, but again, like Pegasus is like the biggest one. But at the end of the event, even though it's like Yusei, Jaden, and Yugi all against them, when they go back to their quote-unquote worlds through the gates, Yugi flat out mentions like, "We have never met them before," whereas Jaden remembers Yusei and Yusei remembers Jaden, but Atem doesn't remember them, because the Atem is from the manga canon versus the actual show canon, and that's supposed to confirm that whoever comes from the other dimensions, that being, Yugi, Atem, in the world of Duel Monsters and Dark Side Dimensions, they're from the manga canon, not the show canon. So that's like some of the biggest like lore drops. Arc 5 is getting its, things with the different personalities breaking off. Because recently, only Selena's, like I said earlier, is the most recent character to be released. Maybe we'll get Lulu and Rin. Yuri is the last one to show up. So I'm pretty sure they're going to say Yuri for last in comparison to all the other ones. Because Yuri's like, Selena flat out states like Yuri likes to do his own thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I guess like, and now the final one with like Brains, and I guess we're gonna go with Zone before I continue further. If you use Paradox and Arporia to fight Zone, they flat out said like, hey, the multiverse exists, but Zone says like, no, this is our plan, this is what we agreed on, and this is what I'm going to do. And you can unlock him as a duelist now. And it's like the first time you can hear English Zone.
By the way, real quick, I just logged into Duel Links after years.
And
I have a lot of buttons to click.
Yeah, you will. Trust me, you will. So, yeah, if you, Jesse, if you're planning to, you have 3 days to unlock Selena. So.
Give me a second so I can get through all the buttons I have to click so I can lower the volume because I can't hear shit.
So, I guess like we're going to.
My ears are getting blown off right now. And now I gotta go to the boxes! My ears!
Did you use the data transfer to keep your old, like, stuff?
I transferred all my data to here. I don't have anything. I don't have anything for mobile. Because I had to. My ears! No!
Oh, you're playing on your computer. That's why. You're playing on your computer.
I want to lower the volume. Please stop. I can't take anymore.
But alright, so we're gonna go into
with all the things.
Brains is more of a direct.
Another one. Oh no, TFA! No! No, please! My ears!
Right,
Jesse's suffering in there.
Is it over? Ow.
We'll go into this. Alright, I'll say this. Brains is definitely the Brains world is definitely a continuation of the anime. Because like I said, you don't unlock Playmaker and I until level 10 for their world. Soulburner defeats get all our different characters. Revolver was not for a little bit, so.
I'm safe.
That's essentially kind of like, I guess we could say that quote unquote concludes the whole thing with Yu-Gi-Oh! Other than like cross duels getting shut down,
Wait, cross duels shut down already?
It's getting shut down. We have like a month.
Master duels?
Master duels?
No, cross duels.
Yeah.
I can't hear what?
Cross duel.
Cross duel?
Yeah, you didn't even know, but they released another mobile game that was supposed to be like a 4-way battle royale between you and other players. You get to use like the other characters, and it's getting shut down because it wasn't that popular. Because why would you play that when you have things like Duel Links and Master Duel?
Right.
And Master Duel's like, alright, here's the modern game. Duel Links like, here, we're closer to the anime, so you get your things. So with that, we're probably not going to show any like Master Duel videos because Jesse hates it when he plays against us because he goes on there to have fun, and then like, here, I want to use an evil hero deck. Oh, I'll use my hero deck. I summon like half my extra deck in one turn. He's like, alright, I'm done. We play.
I mean, we could try and fight each other with anime themed decks, but even that, I'm not sure.
The closest anime themed deck I have is my Luda deck.
And that itself is broken.
It's not really. It's more broken in Duel Links because Selena can like one turn you easily.
Yeah.
So with that, maybe we
Hold
can
on.
maybe we'll talk.
Yeah, I don't mind re-downloading. I don't mind re-downloading the game because I'm a believer of content.
We might.
We'll do for content.
We might talk waifus next time. We're still kind of like deciding on which series to go with. We kind of like focus on Yu-Gi-Oh because that's something we all somewhat enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, or maybe we'll do fighting games next time. And then
Gonna be a struggle to find. It's gonna be a struggle to find the next topic to talk about.
We could probably do Persona waifus as like next time. It's just coming down to which one we want to choose as like the first. like where it's probably either gonna be 5 or 4.
Mostly 5 and 4 because we know that.
Or heck, we can even go into like Fire Emblem waifus, but Jesse only knows Awakening, so I would have to carry most of that.
I know Awakening and I know of Fates as well.
Yeah, if I did anything further, it'd probably be...
What character do I want to use for this event?
Just use a good deck and you should be fine, personally.
Well, the thing is that I want to use Jaden U Bell because I had a fusion deck with him. That was actually pretty good. I say it's pretty good. When I say it's pretty good, that means it's not that good. So just a click.
Alright, so with that, we are going to head off and decide our topic for next time.
And who knows? Maybe if Cashmere feels like it, we can play. Me and him could play Persona 4 Arena Ultimax, and I could just get IK'd all the time.
Maybe it really does come down.
Either that or Melty Blood because I enjoy going. But yeah.
And I enjoy just swinging hands.
All right. So with that,
your counter, I'm swinging.
All right, with that, everyone, we will catch you all later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.